Konshu no Steam Machine Podcast 1980s Nendai no Nihon Yakuza 0 Ongaku Kyo ni Irishiyama. Fucked up the last word.
You also fucked up Nihon. You said Nihon.
Oh, well, whatever. Neon, Nissan. Whatever. I knew I was going to get it wrong. I'll fix it in post.
He won't fix
Nothing's
We have
gonna get
never
fixed in
once
post.
fixed anything in post.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me as always are the Destructo Bros.
What's up, y'all? It's Nate again.
Hey, it's Billy, and we've got a friend. I bet you didn't know we had friends.
I'm your friend? Oh, shit. What do I do with this? What do I do with this information? I don't know how to process this.
Hug us.
What?
Naked. Hug us naked.
Oh,
That's what you could do. Oiled up. Yeah.
He just disconnected. What the hell?
So this is one Rhythm Master Paul Korn, as he's known in the Tadpog Nation. He is also the author of a comic. Is that right, sir? Tell everybody about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Paul Korn. If you're familiar with the general Tadpog expanded universe, you've probably heard my voice on a few things. Yeah, if you don't know me, I write comics on the side. The current thing that I'm working on is a series called Waifu Apocalypse. It's basically a zombie apocalypse, but if anime girl body pillows came to life and started murdering nerds at a convention. It's very silly, it's very fun, but it's one of those things that I love pitching to people at cons because you get a very you get a very pronounced reaction from anybody who hears that premise. You know, they either need it in their hands immediately or they are already walking away from the table. So yeah, I really enjoy doing that. We have the first 3 issues completed, if I remember correctly, and the inks are being done on issue 4. I've got the script for issue 5 done, so it's moving along. I gotta get back to the grindstone on that, but I've had other stuff going on, so hopefully I can get that going.
Quit making excuses, Paul. Having children is not other things going on.
Oh,
That's right. Man, yeah, dude, that's awesome, though. Like, the moment that you first told me that it was waifu pillows coming to life and killing people, I was like, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Like, they're still just pillows. They're just wobbly. They have, like, little shark fin things that are nubbing onto, the weapons. They should not be able to hold them, because they're all, like, the replica things at the convention. Those cheap Buster swords and whatnot, But that'll still kill a nerd dead. So
Yeah, I think you're calling it issue 0 at the time, kind of like your pilot version of it, and yeah, they can satisfyingly kill a nerd dead for sure.
Oh man,
that's awesome. Nate, sir, before I get into asking how everybody's week was and everything, I'm very curious, and I don't want to forget it's something for you. They've been releasing new footage for the new Sonic game. And I saw some stuff today that sparked my interest even more, but I'm curious how you feel about it.
So I'm a little torn on it, to be honest, because there's parts of it that look really fun and really good, and there's parts of it that are just like, what are they thinking? And part of it comes down to this way they've been releasing the marketing, I feel like is really bizarre. They've been releasing like several minute long clips of certain aspects of the game. Like the first one they released was showing the open world and the movement in the game. And the world looks great. Like, it looks nice, but the movement looks really bad. But I think that the person playing the game did not know how to play the game because he kept doing weird things that you would not expect somebody playing a Sonic game to do. And I don't know if that's hopeful thinking or if that's really that this guy was just bad at Sonic games.
Oh, Dad, we're going to show this game off. Let's get the Polygon dudes that did that Doom review to play it.
Nate, I think you just need to accept that your life would be materially better if you just didn't like Sonic. You wouldn't be disappointed like this.
Don't stop hurting me, Paul. Let me hold out hope that there's going to be a good Sonic game.
He's literally had the first good, like, actual good, not just good for video game movies in video game movie history. Like, at this point, it's Sonic's game to lose. He's killing it.
No,
Sorry, Dalton, please go.
I sent Nate an Outside Xbox video the other day because it opens with something about Sonic 06. And Mike, the guy from the show, is just like, in the sea of Sonic games, sometimes it's kind of hard to find a good one. And I think it was Andy from Off Camera just goes, "Is that because there's so many of them?" And Mike just starts fucking laughing. No. And I'm just like, oh, I feel so bad because that's what I always hear is that there are some banger Sonic games, but there are a sea of bad ones. And I don't know. It was a series that I had Sonic for the Game Gear. And like, that was my experience with Sonic for years. That was all I played. So I don't know. I don't have much say in it.
The 8-bit Sonic games aren't terrible, but I think that the Sonic Game Gear ones do kind of lose a little bit just because even compared to the Master System versions of the same games, although most of them didn't come out in the US on the Master System, only on the Game Gear, but like you lost some screen resolution and like the antlion fight at the beginning of one of them is almost fucking impossible on the Game Gear because you can't see where the rocks are going to fall from off stage. They just drop on your head.
I got real good at Emerald Zone. That was about it. I never got much further than that.
Is Emerald Zone the first zone of Sonic 2 for Game Gear?
I believe so.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think the second level was some minecart thing, and it was...
That's right! That would have the minecart level!
I wasn't awful. I was awful at it. But yeah, this new one, I saw today that there's RPG elements and like an XP system and stuff, and I'm like, what? Immediately, me, RPG player, my brain's just like, ooh.
Yeah.
But...
Do you worry a little bit that Kirby Forgotten Realms or Forgotten Land might be eating this game's lunch? Because it kind of came out first and was like a great transition into a 3D open world.
I'm a little worried about that because like Kirby looks like a good game and everything I've seen about it's been good. And I don't know. I'm hoping that, like, cause I've heard now that they've officially said that they were showing off an early build of the game. Like, it's not even like the most recent version of the game that they're showing in trailers. And it was like, then don't do trailers. Wait until you have something. Like, stop.
I mean, it's not impossible that we're wrong about it, too, because, like, I mean, shit, when we first saw early shit from Multiverses, like, that looked like trash until people got their hands on it and started playing it, And now it's like, that is, like, the platform fighter I'm the most hyped for. Y'all want to talk about Multiverses?
I accidentally closed my Wikipedia page, so I'm pulling it back up.
Oh. Yeah.
Sorry.
This is going to be a really smooth transition.
I'm just hoping that the Sonic game turns out decently, but we'll see what happens. I'm still going to buy it because that's the stupid thing that I like to do. But I think I am going to definitely get it on PC because I feel like that has the best shot of being the best version of the game.
Yeah. And even if it blows chunks, there might be a mod for it that kind of fixes some of the problems.
That's the big thing.
Mods where you can turn Sonic into Randy Savage or something.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
finally.
Fantastic.
The cream of the crop mod.
I want a mod that turns Sonic into Freakazoid. And just...
Man, I haven't thought about that cartoon in a while.
Bazinga. Not to be confused.
He said Bazinga, the podcast is over.
No. Hold on. That is where that originated, is Freakazoid. Said Bazinga.
Highly doubt, going to Google it, but if you're wrong, the podcast is canceled.
I swear, I think that's where what's-his-face from Big Bang Theory got it, was from Freakazoid. Because didn't he used to go, Bazinga! And then he, boom, take off.
I don't remember that.
I don't either.
I'm not up on the Freakazoid deep lore, so I'm willing to be wrong about this. I know that his friend is Sergeant Mike Cosgrove, voiced by Ed Asner, if I remember correctly.
That is also, I think, correct. If it wasn't Ed Asner, it was a dude doing a great Ed Asner voice. Fuck it, I'm looking up the Wikipedia.
Yeah. For some reason, my brain got...
That was Ed Asner. That was Sorry, I said that wrong 4 times. That was Ed Asner. His catchphrase is "freak out."
I know, but we're...
And then to change back, he says "freak in."
Spoon. Let's do the tick instead.
I might be wrong. So,
let's do the tick.
I have a premise to pitch you, gentlemen. Okay. Actually, before we get
does it? How many bazingas are in this
absolutely
premise, sir?
Absolutely none.
None. Okay. You are allowed one half of a bazinga. You could say bazi or inga, but you can't sing them both together.
Paul, what do you know about Phasmophobia? Have you played it?
I have not played it. I know it from osmosis. Chandra's played it some, yeah, I've heard a lot of people talking about it, but I'm just not one for spooky games, really. You know, scary things scare me, so
you're what scientists refer to as
yeah. That's the medical term.
Okay. Well, you might still be able to appreciate this. So I was thinking about this the other day, and I don't remember what exactly sparked it, but hear me out. Imagine a licensed Phasmophobia, but like good licensed. We're talking like Shadows of Mordor licensed, not Batman Forever licensed, okay? Mm-hmm. Where the levels are like iconic areas from films and cartoons. Like, I said, for instance, Casper's house. You know, like you're in that house from the movie Casper, and there's a 33% chance that you get one of the uncle ghosts, and they're going to fuck with you, right? But there's a 1% chance that you get Casper, and he helps you finish all your tasks and shit without fucking anybody up, right? So that's just one example. Go into maybe the Family Guy house. Meg finally snapped, murdered the whole family, and now it's haunted.
What the fuck?
So now you have to go in there and figure out which member of the family is haunting it and what type of ghost they might be, right? You go into an abandoned like arena where there's a ring set up and there's a ghost there, and it's Undertaker, but like what kind of ghost is he? And when he starts to chase you, purple smoke starts to appear on the floor as you're running around, right? There are so many ways you could go with The Simpsons. Who did it? Probably Bart, but who knows, right? Maggie killed everyone with a fucking axe.
She did shoot JR, damn it. Mr.
Burns. The ultimate crossover of parody and parodied.
But no, I just think that it would be cool, man. Like, there are so many ways that you could go with it, but I guess having those licenses would be a pain in the ass. So you'd probably have to pick one.
Yeah.
And
that would be the trick. I think I remember reading about this, but maybe I just imagined it. Did somebody ever do like a mod of it with like Scooby-Doo stuff?
There is a mod that turns the van that you go on your escapades into the it looks like the Mystery Machine.
Yeah, I feel like there's some. I feel like there's room there to focus. You know, like you could do kind of a campy, hijinks version of Phasmophobia with kind of the Scooby-Doo skin all over it.
I feel like that Scooby-Doo lends itself to it the best anyway, because you have all the different like possible humans that are in charge, like responsible for the hauntings instead of an actual ghost. Like Old Man Smithers again.
Yeah,
and locations. Locations. There's been all kinds of locations in Scooby-Doo that you could pull from as well.
Yeah. They've been going at it for how long has that series been on? Has it been the 60s?
That's what I was going to say. I think it was the 60s, right?
I think it was late 60s.
I was going to say the late 60s, early 70s. I think like 1970s.
68.
There've been so many.
70.
There've been so many versions of it too. Like fucking. Like the ill-advised attempt to add a family member to the group. I'm talking about Scooby-Dum. I'm talking about the one we don't speak of.
But I think it'd be like,
don't hate on.
We like Scooby-Dum.
Yeah, but like Scooby-Doo would be a really good one because like you can have its own like art style because the more animated than like what you have with Phasmophobia, you could do a lot with just the way it looks. Period.
Yeah.
Do it like Borderlands, like cell shade it.
That'd be cool.
Make it cartoony. Ooh.
The problem is, though, you would know which door the ghost is coming out because it's the only one that's slightly lighter than the other ones.
Trademark Steam Machine Podcast.
TM.
Oh, that would be so fucking cool. I'll start fucking around in Unity and see what we can do.
Like, I have Unity. I know C#. Let's go.
Yeah, that was basically all I had for the beginning stuff. Is my Phasmophobia idea. How have you been this week, gentlemen? Anything interesting happened to any of you?
I mean, it's been a good enough couple weeks for me. I've been on this big 80s kick lately with Stranger Things coming back, so it's been really nice to really nice transition because I've been on a big Sega kick and a big 80s kick, so like everything's just coming up Turtle Bear Man right now. Like the new season of Stranger Things, like it's releasing in 2 parts, so the first part has come out. And this is the best the show's been since season 1, in my opinion. Like, this season's been freaking awesome. And, like, I'm dying here. Bring the second part out now, because I cannot wait until I think it's July 1st for it to come out. I'm like, no, it's too long. And then, yeah, and then we started binging the series from the beginning after we finished what we have season 4. So,
yo, so how does it hold up like over time? Because like I've only watched the first season and like the first episode of season 2, and then I stopped subscribing to Netflix because I'm broke all the time, constantly, forever. But like, how would you say like the arc of it is? Like, what parts do you think stood out the most so far on rewatch?
Yeah, so for me, I think that season 2 was a lot better than I remembered it, because like season 2, they made a lot of changes from season 1, just with like character relationships and story arcs, and it felt different than season 1. And I don't think I was ready for it when it came out. And season 3 kind of follows more along the way season 2 was laid out. So I think going into it this time, knowing it would be different, I enjoyed season 2 a lot more than I did the first time. And in season 4, it just takes like this big, huge, darker twist to it. And like I was getting real Nightmare on Elm Street vibes from season 4. And then at the end of one of the episodes, guest starring Robert Englund. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, they've really hit me with that. Because, like, the whole time I was sitting here watching this, I'm getting Nightmare on Elm Street vibes. And then I didn't even realize they put freaking Robert Englund in one of the episodes until I saw his name pop up. Like, I didn't recognize him until after the episode. Because that guy's such an incredible actor, to be honest. That guy's one of the best horror actors out there.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Have you seen Wes Craven's A New Nightmare?
I haven't. I know that was supposed to be good.
It's the seventh Nightmare on Elm Street. It's like the one after they rebooted, and he plays Robert Englund, who previously played Freddy Krueger in it.
Meta.
It's incredible.
Sorry. Have you ever read a book called Slash of the Titans?
No, haven't.
It's like a, I don't know the best way. Basically, it kind of compiles all the interviews and information that they have about all the attempts that they made to make the Freddy vs. Jason movie, because that movie had been in production hell for like over a decade, and there are so many different versions of that movie that got like either pitched or a script was written or anything like that. It's really interesting stuff. Like there's one where it's like a court case thing, there's one where Jason is he can't sleep, and that's one of the reasons that he's killing people. And so there's this whole thing about, people trying to make him sleep so that Freddy can kill him or something. There's a couple of...
Did you forget the word for a person that can't sleep? Did you forget the word for a person who can't sleep? Because it's like, you're like, he can't sleep. I'll give you that. Dave Attell's...
But there's a couple of there's a couple that I remember where they pitched Freddy was a counselor at Camp Crystal Lake, and there are some implications there that not going to get too deep into. It's
there was a rumor I always remember growing up that people told me, well, not growing up, because the movie came out when I was like in my 20s or whatever, but like there's something that people always rumored to me, which was the original intended ending of the film was they would keep on fighting and they would kind of get dragged down into some other dimension, and all of a sudden Pinhead would just show up and be like, gentlemen, what appears
I remember reading about that idea.
Is that in the book? Is that
here's the
real?
thing: I forget. I get a lot of information, from Chandra, and then things that I read, and so I can't remember exactly where that popped up in my general pop culture osmosis thing. But I do remember hearing that at some point. But it's a good book.
I think they also wanted to do an Ash versus Freddy versus Jason, which I think they eventually made into a
I
comic
remember
book.
hearing about that one. I don't know much about that one, but that was a thing that was in some level of production for a while.
That sounds like a cool book to me. I would definitely read that. Yeah. I'm always interested in.
So you said it was called
Slash of the Titans.
I'll have to look that up. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. My mind just fucking blanked. God damn, I had something that was totally about what we were just talking about, and it's gone. It's been a long. It's been a long.
Is it about Freddy or is it about Jason?
Oh, the court case thing. I can imagine Jason Voorhees comes to the stand and he just walks up there and he just sits down. They start asking him questions. He just fucking sits there. Like, what is he gonna say? Yeah.
tilts his head a little bit every now and then. Like
okay.
Michael Myers.
Phoenix Wright's his lawyer. He'll be okay.
There's the crossover
shit. He's getting
that
off
we didn't
then.
know we needed.
Well, if Phoenix Wright's his lawyer, that means he didn't do it though, because Phoenix Wright only defends.
Except for that one time. There's one case.
I only played the first game. Wow! Spoilers for future Phoenix Wright games. I guess.
I've ruined the entire series for you.
Don't you defend a killer whale in that game? Like one of them. It's fantastic, dude. It's tremendous.
Oh man!
Please come to the stand.
I don't think you're far off. It's been a while since I've played all those games, but I'm pretty sure there is a case that revolves around like a water park, like a aquarium thing, and I'm pretty sure you do call a dolphin at some point.
I know at one point a parrot has been called to the stand to testify.
Yeah. That is absolutely tremendous.
I gotta play those Phoenix Wright games again.
I
know,
need
right?
to. I believe it was Adam.
Great music.
For Shoutout, Revival and Extinction, his podcast. I believe he bought me the Phoenix Wright collection for my birthday, and I need to get on those because they're that and Danganronpa. I really want to get around to it.
Yeah, Danganronpa is also fun. Like I know they've had like 8 games or something like that. Like it's a very long running series. I've only played like the first 2, but
you're a visual novel boy. I definitely was there watching you stream one of the 999 games and just making fun of the hell out of Dio's costume. So I guess that was Virtue's Last Reward,
that was
right?
in Virtue's Last Reward. Chandra and I, when we were streaming more regularly, we streamed 999 or 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, and the sequel Virtue's Last Reward. And then we decided we weren't going to do the third game, Zero Time Dilemma, because people generally agree that's not a good one. I think that there's merit to it, but it is a needlessly twisty and complicated thing set in a it's done through cutscenes instead of dialogue things. And Uchikoshi, the scenario writer, he's the director on all of that, and he's a really good writer. That's basically all I could say. He will not stop using Dutch angles constantly. It's like Battlefield Earth level of Dutch angles. But sorry, I'm getting really far afield of whatever. But
what's this episode about again?
It's funny y'all mentioned.
I'm Dutch angles now.
In my Gmail right now, I have Adam's episode on 999 waiting for me to edit.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
He just recently played through that. There's a lot of visual novels that I own that I'm like looking forward to getting to eventually. I know these two probably are not looking forward to getting to them, but I am.
No, I will. I've only played like one visual novel all the way through. I've watched like a Let's Play of another or 2 of them, I guess, and I've played a little bit of Hatoful Boyfriend too, which was interesting. I just never.
I feel like I
finished
played enough visual novels watching Paul play the 999.
Yeah, no, you get the gist.
I do want y'all to play Doki Doki Plus eventually.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
The other ones, we'll see how that goes.
Have you done Hatoful Boyfriend on the show before? Because that might actually be a pretty.
I don't think I have that game, but I could get it because that's the one that's always makes me laugh.
I think it's free or very cheap.
I don't think it's free, but it's probably cheap. I'm sure I could find it somewhere. Be it a key site or Fanatical, something like that.
Yeah. That's cool. If you all aren't familiar with it, that's the dating game in which when you're a human girl and all the boys are pigeons, just different kinds of pigeons.
I have been thinking about maybe just doing it as a Patreon episode because I don't know. Because I have Galgun, and I don't know anything about that game other than you use a pheromone gun to shoot horny girls that are running at you to get them to leave you alone. That's all I know.
You may want to do that one as a solo Patreon one because maybe get Paul in on that. he likes the heart pounding type of games.
Yeah, get Paul in there. He's a pervert.
Yeah, he's a horny boy. Let's let him do it.
Oh, I always say.
Look, I didn't say it. All I'm saying is, if I knew any of the three of you just standing there in a diaper, hip thrusting in the middle of a jazz club, it would
what
probably
the shit
be Paul.
is that? Oh my goodness.
Paul, walking
I
erection
can't believe
corn.
that when I first met that fool, he was called Walking Erection.
But yeah, no, it looks fun. I mean, I always say like between the three of us normal hosts, I'm the resident pervert, and I get the most out of stuff that like we'll talk about a little later in Yakuza. Oh, you know what? Segue. Speaking of Yakuza, I have the obligatory Wikipedia bullshit pulled up for Yakuza.
What's that? What's Yakuza?
Or I did have it pulled up. Where'd it go? What the fuck?
I'm sorry, do you mean Ryuga Gotoku? Pushes glasses all the way in through his brain.
I want you to know, listeners, that he literally did push his glasses up as he said that. He is not.
And they went through his brain.
Yeah, now he's dead, and I think this is going to be a good episode now.
It is.
Hey, everybody, Paul's Ghost here.
What's up, Paul's Ghost? Oh, I think it's an Oni. Let me look at the UV.
This is a fun fact that Adam actually taught me. Yeah, Yakuza 0, or as Paul said, I'm going to try this, Ryuga Gotoku?
Gotoku.
Ryuga Gotoku.
Shikai no Basho, which is Japanese for Like a Dragon 0.
Like a
the
Dragon,
Place of
yeah.
Oath. So they pulled a Resident Evil because, Resident Evil 7, Biohazard,
7.
and then, Biohazard 7, Resident Evil over here. I wonder, but
Right.
in Japan, could they call this game Yakuza?
I kind of think that's why they called it Like a Dragon instead, because I don't think you could have just called the game
Well,
Yakuza.
the other thing is that, the series, this is a little bit spoilery, but Kiryu's not a Yakuza for the majority of the series,
Yeah.
I mean, so far he's been a Yakuza for
it's kind of funny because before this game came out, everybody's going to be like, everybody's like, oh, we're going to get to see Kiryu back when he actually was a Yakuza instead of like a retired civilian that keeps getting pulled back in, and it's just like, nope, half a chapter and he's out of the Yakuza,
That's fantastic
because of shenanigans.
I also appreciate that they went back and remade the first 2 Yakuza games in this engine because first and foremost, before I even get into talking about the Wikipedia, I'm impressed with how good this game looks.
Yeah.
On PC.
It's
and when I went into the settings in PC and it said use max frames for cutscenes as well, and it just makes the entire game 60 frames per second. It's all so crystal clear and the transitions are so nice. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about the fact that they've remade these, because I do not want to have to go back and play a PlayStation-era Yakuza game.
Yeah, I think the first game was in 2000, maybe 2001. I'd have to have Wikipedia up to be sure of that, but it was a PS2-era game.
Yeah.
The original Yakuza was released in 2005 in Japan and 2006 internationally.
Gotcha.
that makes sense because it would have come out after the Shenmue games.
That tracks.
Those other games that I'm looking forward to getting to eventually is Shenmue.
Now I don't know if I'm gonna like Shenmue because this is like playing these games. It's like what people remember Shenmue being.
Yeah, I've looked back at the Shenmue series like in the past few years, and it is one of those things that it's very hard to go back to. They are very specific in how they do stuff.
I've heard that there's a place where they're like, yeah, it's about a 2-hour walk, and then you walk for 2 hours. like it's just like they're legitimately like, oh yeah, it's gonna take us about 2 hours to get there, and then it does. So,
I mean, you kind of like Daggerfall too, so you
like
probably excuse that.
I do like Daggerfall. So, anyways, O-dubs, the obligatory Wikipedia bullshit. Yakuza 0 is an action-adventure game developed and published by Sega. It is the 6th main entry in the Yakuza series and a prequel to the original game. It was released for PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 in Japan, March 2015, and in North America and Europe for PlayStation 4 in 2017 in January. It released on Microsoft Windows August 1st, 2018, and Xbox One, because fuck Xbox, on February 26, 2020. A free accompanying game application for the PlayStation Vita titled Yakuza 0 free-to-play application for PlayStation Vita. Oh my god, I'm sorry. That's brilliant. That's... Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I was trying to do something unobtrusive, but instead it became way too funny and it broke a stride. I'll tell you what, man. I'm gonna be in the back.
It was released. That was released in Japan in February 2015. Set in late 1988, 17 years before the events of the first game. The story follows Kazuma Kiryu and Goro Majima as they get embroiled in a conflict between various Yakuza factions for control of a patch of land known as the Empty Lot. The game received generally favorable reviews from critics and is largely responsible for the franchise's rise in popularity and sales in the West, the series being deemed obscure beforehand. Yakuza 0 was followed up by a remake of the original game, Yakuza Kiwami, the next chronological installment of the series. So, while Willie's gone, and we can talk about it, do you think that they'll eventually do Kiwami versions of all the games, or do you think that 3 through 6, or 3 through 5, whatever it is, are updated enough graphically and stuff?
I would say that 3 through 5 are updated enough. Like, they did remasters where they kind of gave it a coat of paint, you know, like they didn't change anything about like the engine or they didn't change anything about the engine or any of the side quests or anything like that. But they did, you know, give it an extra little bit of graphical sheen. And I think that's all they're going to do for 3 through 5. Like, I mean, obviously I don't work at Sega, so, you know, I can't know that, but, you know, that's just the vibe that I get. Like, maybe we would get further remasters if, you know, like, we get another console generation and the Yakuza series is still going, you know. Yeah. But considering that the series has shifted a little bit, you know, like they've moved from beat 'em up combat to turn-based combat, I don't know like what they would do with that exactly, you know. So.
No, and it's the Judgment series is going to be continuing this style, correct?
Yes. In Japan, it's called Judge Eyes. In the U.S., it's called Judgment. But it's about a private detective who works in Kamurocho, the main district that most of these games take place in. Like, he has dealings with Yakuza people, but not specifically the ones from the Yakuza series. So, you know, there's little bits of overlap, mostly just because, you know, you're in Kamurocho and there are certain things that just kind of spill over, you know, like he knows about stuff with the Tojo clan, but they're not the people that he's primarily dealing with, because he's usually dealing with, you know, like private investigator stuff. Like he tries not to get himself embroiled in that stuff, you know. But yeah, that game is going to be continuing the brawler combat. Though I've heard, sorry.
I was just gonna say, Tojo Clan, are they something to fuck with? Because I've heard about the Wu-Tang Clan, and I'm not certain.
Jesus Christ.
Man.
I get canceled for Bazinga, and you can say shit like that? Come on.
But,
I think Wu-Tang references compared to Big Bang Theory references, I think I come out cooler.
Yeah, that's what we always say about you. Good old Cool Willie.
Cool hand Willie.
That's what they call me, Chili Willie, baby.
We want Chili Willie. We want Chili Willie. I can't do a good Barney voice.
No.
That's a very specific Simpsons reference. I'm sorry. Anyway,
someone, it's for someone out there, and I appreciate that. It's like Mystery Science Theater 3000, the writing room. They always had this philosophy: that joke isn't for everyone, but it's for the right ones.
But yeah, Judgment. There was some dispute with the actor who plays the lead character in that. So we're not sure if we're gonna get more Judgment games. My guess is they've got other characters that, in a pinch, could be the lead character of that series. You know, so. I have a feeling that they'll continue with one of those guys. If there really are irreconcilable differences, it might be just negotiating in the press, that kind of stuff. But that gets pretty in the weeds about, you know, the business side of all this. So I'll try not to linger on it.
I mean, we brought you in here because we know you are the expert on the Yakuza games in the first place. So, like, get in the weeds, get deep in the weeds. We need the expert here. We need the
get deeper in the weeds than Dalton on a Friday night.
Hey. So, my question, my starting question for you, Paul, is...
That's a little private visual joke for us.
What was your first introduction to the Yakuza series? Like, I know you're a huge fan of it, so, like, what got you into it? And then what was your first experience with Yakuza 0?
I started the series with Yakuza 3. I think it was on Twitter, like, or maybe somebody just linked it on YouTube. But so most of the games, there'll be like a few different sequences where you're just like clearing house through a warehouse or building, you know, with like wave after wave of dudes, you know, and in every Yakuza game that I can think of, there's always like one of those encounters where you're going through just wave after wave of guys, and there's a guy that keeps getting up and coming back into the fight like 2 rooms later, and he's not like a named character. It's just some guy who's like a mid-boss that keeps on hanging on. And so like somebody linked a video of like that encounter from Yakuza 3 where it's a guy that you beat up, you kick him through a door, and then you go on and do other stuff. And then he comes back and he's got like a broken nose and he's coming at you with a bat, and then you knock him out. He comes back in through a window. He's got a katana, if I remember correctly, it escalates to a chainsaw, it just keeps going, and so that thing sold me where I'm like, okay, I need to play this game. I think by this time 4 was out in the US, but so I picked up Yakuza 3 and I really enjoyed it. It was extremely my shit, and so I played 4. 5 didn't come out until much later in the US, because it was a pretty niche series at the time. But I got to play that one, and then 0 I got like at release. That was that was the first one, cause I had kind of forgotten about the Yakuza series when 5 came out domestically, because they didn't really advertise it much. But yeah, like when 0 came out, I was right there day one, and I was super excited about it. And honestly, it's probably the best Yakuza game. Like they knew that this was a way that they could get a new audience, and so they were firing on all cylinders. They were like, okay, because this is a prequel, we don't have to worry about a whole lot of complicated lore stuff, about everybody's relationships and everything. There's call forwards and things like that, for people who know all this stuff, but it does not feel like you need to have played all the previous games to understand, what all's going on, So 0 is probably it's definitely my favorite Yakuza game. I think I can make a solid argument for it being the best Yakuza game, because it's got a lot of stuff going on, but it's not bloated, and it's got a lot of variety in how the combat goes because of the 2 different playable characters, and both of them have 3 different fighting styles, it's all clicking. But it's great. It's my favorite in the series.
Hell yeah. And
that's fantastic, because I think we were even like on the fence as to whether we wanted to do Yakuza 0 or Yakuza Like a Dragon first. And I feel like we probably made the right decision. Like a Dragon would have been fun. We've played some lengthy JRPGs recently, and I think we were so putting it in that bucket.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of fits in there, I definitely enjoy Like a Dragon, and I'm really curious to see what they do with further iterations of that series, or that branch off. I don't know exactly what to call it, but Ichiban isn't as fully formed of a protagonist as Kiryu is, but the thing that I really like about Ichiban, the guy from Like a Dragon, is that he has like a whole party around him, so you can, kind of build a main character out of, the relationships between him and all the other party members. You can swap in people that, work or don't work, as needed, and kind of get interesting dynamics that way. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with that, moving on. But this episode isn't about Like a Dragon, so,
Well, I was very much torn between the two, but I figured with Yakuza 0 being the prequel to the long-standing series, I figured that would be a good starting point. Although, the next time I pick a Yakuza game, it will probably be Like a Dragon, depending...
Really? Instead of Kiwami 1?
Depending on how this game ends, and, is it going to make me want to immediately jump into Kiwami 1? You know what I mean? And if so, then maybe go that route. But I'm very interested to see how this fleshes out as a turn-based RPG, because at my heart, I'm a fucking RPG turn-based fanatic. And I'm just very curious how it transitions. Now, I have played the first couple hours of that game, and it's fucking hilarious right off the bat. I'll give it that. But so was this game. So I really enjoy the whole atmosphere, I guess you would say, the Yakuza humor, the world building that they're doing, and the NPCs are just tremendous. Like, there's so many cool people to run into.
My favorite description of this series, like any Yakuza game, is imagine that you're watching like a really good Martin Scorsese gangster movie, and it's interrupted every like 20-30 minutes by an episode of The Simpsons. that gives you a sense of the tone of these games. It really shouldn't work, but somehow it does. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just
no, you're fine. It's very much like the sub stories, I think they're called, are there to like give you some relief from some of the seriousness of the actual main story.
Yeah, sure. Like the contrast in it. It's like there's points in this game where I've been sitting there laughing my ass off, and there's other points in the game where I'm sitting here holding back tears, like oh god. Like it's just the dichotomy of it, or the way it just makes you feel things. It's like really impressive, especially for a game where the voice acting is all in Japanese, so like you're doing the bulk of the reading yourself, unless you're somebody that's bilingual here. So just like being able to get that emotion from the actors are really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
By the way, like when I first opened the game, I was like looking through the menu, like I want to change the language because I'm sure the original Japanese voice acting is going to be great. And I was so bummed that I couldn't find the voice acting switch or whatever. And turns out no, there's no English dub. Like I just started to get like, oh, okay, great. They just
started doing English dubs with either, I can't remember which came out, if Yakuza 7 came out or
I think 6.
Lost Judgment. Like I think it was either Judgment or Yakuza 7 that had the first dub. Well, technically, the original Yakuza game on the PS2 had a dub. Nobody liked it. Mark Hamill voiced Majima.
I guarantee it's trash.
That's what I was about to bring up. Is that I read the other night that Mark Hamill did Majima, and I'm like, that's tremendous.
Yeah,
but.
That's why I thought 6 would have come first. So Mark Hamill was the original dub?
In the original dub back in like 2005-06.
So is he like the only professional voice actor?
I mean, that's the only one that I remember reading about, but I don't know enough about. I mean, I know that Sega's kind of famous for having bad dubs, like you think of your House of the Dead or whatever. But
yeah, now suffer like Julian.
That's good times. That's good times.
We do love a Mark Hamill voice acting on this channel or on this podcast, for sure.
So, Nate, Willie, whichever one of you decides to decide to go first. Opening thoughts, like when you first started loading up the game, what were you expecting going into it, and maybe how has it lived up to that so far? What opening thoughts.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly what I expected coming into it. I knew that. Me and Paul have been buddies for a few years now, quite a few, probably a decade. Good God, I hate you.
God, we're old.
Yeah. Anyway, so like I knew he loved the series, but I had no experience with it at all. Like I'd seen him stream a little bit of Like a Dragon. I was like, okay, this looks ridiculous. So I wasn't sure how to expect Zero to be. So when I got in, I didn't have very much expectations at all. But pretty much immediately, I was wrapped up into the world to see how these characters interacted. Your first thing you do, if I remember correctly, is you're on basically a hit. Well, not a hit, but you're supposed to be beating the crap out of this guy to collect money for the bank. And just where it goes from there, just hits you with story fast. And the story is compelling and very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very well written, for sure. What about you, Willie?
I'll say Paul is also one of the main people that has tried to push me to this series. So, like, that's one of the reasons I'm so stoked that it came up. And I'm like, we got to have him on for this. But, like, he knew that even before we started playing. Like, I have another friend who lives in Japan now, Lysandra, who also loves the shit out of this series. Which is why I know it's called Ryuga Gotoku. Something like that. Because she always calls it RGG whatever instead of Yakuza. So it's like, I'm familiar with the series, and I'm like, I kind of thought it was going to be a little Shenmue-ish, which I've never played Shenmue, so also, like, I didn't know what to expect. Like, I was like, okay, it's going to be funny, but it's going to be serious, but it's going to be funny. And I started playing it, and I'm like, you know what, this game kind of, like, it has the same balance of striking, like, the serious and important tones with, like, the funny and comical side stories. It reminds me a lot of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4, where, like, the tone just kind of constantly switches between, like, this important story where there's a killer and there's dangerous shit happening, and then it's also, like, lighthearted, fun, let's explore the town and find out what's going on type shit. And it's like, but this is so much funnier than I expected. Like, I knew it was going to be funny. And I honest to God, the writing and the translation have blown me away. Like, this is just such an immediately charming game that even if I didn't get into it for the story, and yes, the story hooked me the moment it showed up, like, fish hooked my mouth with that little, what's going to happen with the guy that we beat up in the pub, or not in the pub, in the empty lot, which that's a major plot point, a place called an empty lot. But you beat a guy up there to collect on a loan, and then, like, the moment things go south from that, I'm like, oh, I gotta know what happens next. I gotta know what happens next. I gotta know what happens next. It's also just when someone comes up to me and they're on the street and they're like, hey, I have my face surgically altered, but I still want to play with my wife and my son. It's like, well, I'm gonna help this guy too.
I have not gone back to that guy yet because I'm like, this quest is gonna punch me in the feels, and I just know it.
It did have some feels to it. I did finish it.
So I basically had the same thing. So I had heard like Paul mention it before in Tadpog Discord and stuff, and then also like between outside Xbox and PlayStation Access, like I've heard people talk about Yakuza games a lot, right? And they've always seemed right up my alley because I've always heard that they were just really wacky Japanese fun, and I'm all about that. You know what I'm saying? And so going into it, I was like, okay, I'm not the best at beat 'em ups, but I'll give it a shot, right? And I've learned that I really, really, really like rush mode, or the rush fighting mode.
Yeah.
So like that's what I stick to. Quick, fast punches. It reminds me of when I used to play the UFC games. I would always make I know that's a weird, but hold on, it's a weird link. But I would always make a boxer, and I would up his stats where he was real quick. So I would just pop people with quick jabs until their head was damaged, and then I'd hit them with a hard right and just knock them out. And that's what it's almost like. I just build up my meter with that, and then I switch to, is it Brawl is the normal one, I believe, and then hit Y and do one of the finishers that are fan-fucking-tastic, by the way.
The heat finishers are great.
But I want to point out, go ahead.
I'm with you. That's like one of my main strategies in games where you have like the choice of what style you want to use. Like even in Dark Souls, I was like, use a rapier because I'm like way more comfortable as like a quick poke and stick and move fencer than I am as like a guy that, gets in and hits hard. But then even in this game, the fucking beast mode, I've actually kind of enjoyed beast mode. Like, especially when you have like weapons around in a crowd. It's
beast mode has some of the best heat finishers though. Like if you grab somebody, he straight up gorilla presses them.
But remember,
so good.
Kiryu does not kill people.
Yeah, Kiryu's never killed anyone.
Kiryu has never killed anyone.
No matter how it may look like they're dead.
The thing that I always say,
he threw a guy out like an 8th story window when I was playing, but he's never.
The thing that I always say after some of those finishers is just like, he will live, but he will not live well. Very
true. So one of the quests that I get, like one of the very first ones that I came upon that I was like really, really like, it drew me in was the is it RQ3? I think they called it. I think it was RQ Quest.
Yes,
I don't remember the actual name for the game.
Yes, it was RQ3.
Obviously Dragon Quest. Right?
Well, before you get into that, I think this leads into the first question that was written into our mailbag this week.
Very true.
Like
very true.
Our good
our good buddy Aries or Adam wrote in this question for us. What is the funniest minigame / side event / side quest in Yakuza 0? And I figure you can lead that into funniest and most memorable. So, Dalton, why don't you get started on that?
Oh, man. Then, one of the first ones I ran into was the Akira Quest one. And that one is one of the ones, it immediately like cuts into the humor side of the game. Because you're going to help this kid, and then you see this kid get robbed for his game, so you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go get that back. So then you go up to this dude. It's like this high schooler who's like, fuck you, old man, I'm gonna grind you for experience. And then you fight him, and he's like, no, actually, I got robbed. It got taken by some dude, and so it's a guy with a knife. So then you gotta run and find that guy, and he's like, fuck you, you're not taking this game. Let's fight. Pulls out his knife, and then you gotta fight him, and then he's like, oh, well, I got robbed. It's fucking we got robbed again. So it's just, if you're going on this, like, it's like a fetch quest that will never end, right? You're just going between these people, but it ends up at the end. For one, this is where I realized, like, somebody in this game has a gun. Don't get shot. Avoid that motherfucker. It hurts a lot.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Surprising, right? Whoever thought guns would hurt you.
Most doctors agree. Don't get shot.
But yeah, he just like, you beat up this guy, and then all of a sudden they hit you with some feels, and they're just like, yeah, oh yeah, I was stealing this game so I could give it to my son, and I wish I could remember the kid's name, but the kid comes walking up that you were originally getting the game for, and it was his son, and you're like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, because he's like estranged from his kid because he's like a Yakuza, and it actually does kind of hit you in the feels a little bit. I remember I actually did that quest just recently, because I wasn't doing as many of the subquests this time, but that one I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that one. And like that first thing, like the high schooler, just acting like he's tough shit, and I'm just like, hey, you just brought piss to a shit fight, just like ran up on him. Oh man, he was not ready for a man who's like 10 years older than him to just body him.
I just want that. I want that sentence forever. You just brought piss to a shit fight. That is.
When I went into that quest, I had full heat gauge. So, like, the first two fights, the fight started, and I just hit him with a heat move and won. It was the most satisfying thing ever, is when you get one of those cutscenes where it starts off and it's just the one guy and you got to fight, but you have a full heat gauge, so you just and just wreck him, and it's over. It's like, yeah, fuck, we'll cure you, bitch.
Oh, man.
What about you guys? You have any standout subquests? I know there's a lot. I have a whole list of them here I'm looking at.
I got one I would like to bring up, man. Fucking. I'm sorry, Nate. You want to go? Okay. The one where there was like this cult that so there's a woman that's like over there like just chatting with these two cult members, and like she's clearly upset with them, and she's like trying to be like, what'd you do with my daughter and all that, and it turns out that the daughter had been kind of brought into this cult, and then she tells you to basically go infiltrate and send her a message, just tell her your mother misses you or whatever. And so you get in there, and like the cult is absolutely cuckoo bananas. They've got these like chants and stuff. They're like, I had a note. Oh, actually, I still have it on from me. I can't read my own handwriting very well, but it's shure pipi, shure pipi. And so they've got these cult terms that they use for everything. Like, you even get tested at the end of like the initiation or whatever. But you find the girl, and you kind of give her a message, and then the cult leader is like, "Oh, you didn't give us any money. You didn't give us money. We have a special sermon you can do with And it's basically like, clearly the cult leader is like soliciting like young women for sex, and it fucking sucks. And you get into the back room and you just beat the shit out of him, and it's so satisfying. But then at the very end, he's like he's like absolutely breaking kayfabe. He's just like, call an ambulance. But the cult is so brainwashed, they're all just over him like, we'll do the rite of healing. And they're just doing all these goofy arm movements while he's begging for medical attention. All of his bones are broken.
You fucking idiots, I need
it's so goddamn good.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he sewed his own notes with that. What about you, Nate?
Yeah, so one of my favorites is like one of the early first ones that I did was got to help be a producer on a TV set. So, which is a really hilarious one. But I don't really want to get into that one because there's one that kind of comes after that where you run into the director from that movie again, from that TV show again. Yeah, and this time it was like, I have this special deal. I'm working with this American pop idol to create a music video, and this is going to be my chance to make it big internationally and everything like that. So first, come meet the director of this music video. So you get in there, you start talking to him. It's this guy named Steven Shining, and this dude is 100% Steven Spielberg. Like, if you look at him, and it's just hilarious. It's like, do you know this guy? The Japanese guy's like, do you know who this man is? Like, no. He's like, oh, he directed all these wonderful movies, and I wish I could remember some of the jokes, but he makes references to like E.T. and stuff like that. And they were like, then you find out that you're doing a music video with Miracle Johnson. And when Miracle Johnson comes up, it is 100% Michael Jackson with the hee-hee and all that kind of stuff going on.
That would be like Beat It Jacket Michael Jackson era, wouldn't it?
It's Thriller. You're literally recording Thriller. And your job in the music video is Miracle Johnson's so dedicated to his craft that he wants the zombies to actually come and fully attack him. But since that's the way it's going to be, he needs a bodyguard. So you're literally fighting zombies on the streets of Camarocho, protecting Michael Jackson from the zombies in the Thriller music video.
Oh my god.
That fucking rules. I haven't got to that yet. I am so
Next time
that's a really fun one. I don't like. I mean, you guys hit some of the ones that I would have mentioned for side quests, but a thing that I really like doing in any of the Yakuza games is very specific to me. So there's in Kamurocho, there's a batting cage, right? And so you just go there. The game changes almost every game. Like the how the game of batting cages works is different, which is interesting to me. But so anytime I go in there, my cat Senpai, like, she perks up at like the noise of the pitching machines, like throwing things, and like, she'll perk up, she'll walk over, and she will watch me play for as long as I will do the batting cages. She is just transfixed by it. And so I am just always like, okay, I got to get a couple of batting cage rounds in just to please the cat,
I am so bad at the batting cage, man. I cannot.
This one's pretty rough, I got to be honest. There's a character in Yakuza 5, because Yakuza 5 has 5 playable protagonists, if I remember correctly. And he's like a former baseball player. Like, he's a disgraced baseball player, for reasons I won't get into. But, so he has like a whole, he has a whole mini game built around that. My favorite thing about that guy, I just wanted to bring this up because it's a thing that I really like about these games, is that they characterize through the gameplay in interesting ways. Like, so the hook with this character is that he's really good at weapons, and his whole fighting style kind of revolves around that. But whenever, if you're in a combat situation and you try and pick up a bat, he'll look at it, just kind of solemnly sigh and set it back down, because he respects the bat too much to use it as a weapon, because he was a pro baseball player. He knows what goes into this, and no, I can't use it like that, dog. It just makes me, I'm just, it's so good. Like.
That's a nice touch. Yeah, absolutely. One of the quests that I liked, and it probably made some of y'all uncomfortable. I don't know, Paul, maybe not you. I don't know, but
yeah, Paul, you're a pervert like Dalton.
You're walking down the street and that girl is trying to be mean to the guy, but she keeps apologizing, and he's like, I'm not coming back unless you get better at your job. And then she just like asks you to train her to be a dominatrix. She's like, will you please help me? And I was like, yes, I can help you, actually. So I made that girl make that dude fucking like, oh yeah, she did well. She came out of it on the other side being a much better dominatrix than she went in.
Same.
And I think that was the first time I got the message that it was like, you can go to the erotic video place and now watch a new clip. And I was like, really? So I went over there and I watched it, and I got the achievement that's called I did it for the achievement. And it was sexy. Like, the girl looked good. It got a little weird when she pulled the balloon out, and I was like, she was just like holding and rubbing this balloon, and I'm like, all right, well, that's kind of strange, but like, whatever. It was. She looks good in her undies or whatever. And I realized that that's a thing in this game, is unlocking those and then finding the collectible phone cards like you get in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I had a buddy
telephone cards for all the different girls.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine come home with a fucking stack of them, and he goes, here, man, look through them. It's wild. He goes, dudes just hands you these. Like, hey, you want to get some pussy? Here you go. Like, Jesus Christ. Vegas is wild.
I was hoping one of you guys would bring up the dominatrix thing, because like literally I was talking to Lysandra. I was like, I'm on chapter 4 or whatever, and she's like, "Did you get to the dominatrix scene?" I'm like, "No, I missed that. Everyone else was talking about it. I want to know what that was."
Yeah, it's just a sub quest that you'll come across. I think she's on Pink Street, but
okay, yeah, on 2 Pink Street, not 1 Stink Street.
But that's one thing. Like, talking about just like the street names and everything, is that one thing that I love about this series is that it always, like, I mean, they have stuff going on in other areas, but every game always comes back to Kamurocho. And so you become very familiar with this area. It's not a huge open world. I think it's like maybe 7 square blocks, if that, but the thing is, like, the thing is that you start to get a sense of where certain landmarks are. And it especially with a game like this, where you're going that far back in time, it's interesting to see what was there so long ago. Like Sushi Jin has just always been there, or Sushi Gin. But then I remember when I went from Yakuza 0 to Yakuza Kiwami 1, I was so happy that the Pocket Circuit Racer thing was still there. I just had such a good time there, and it was just nice. Pocket Circuit Fighter, he's still there. Like, he's older, but he's still there, just there for the kids, man.
Hell yeah,
that's awesome.
He's being a good dude. And yeah,
I'm a little sad I didn't get to spend more time with Pocket Fighter, man. That guy was awesome, and I got some more parts. I was gonna go back there, and then I accidentally ended the chapter, and it's like, oh well, now you're.
I haven't even been to that place yet.
Yeah, it's up on the northwest side of town.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about the subquest, though, and I can't really get into too far what I mean by this because of spoilers for later chapters for people who haven't gotten there yet, but how some of these characters you meet in the side quests come back later in the game to help you with other aspects, which I think is a really sweet touch when you get to meet these people again.
I think I know what you're talking about. Roughly, like, I walked out of a building and there were just two of them. And I was like, hey, motherfuckers, I know you. Yeah. So there's a ton of sub stories. Like, we could spend like 3 hours talking about just sub stories. But so I'm curious, like, what about the side games? Now, I haven't done the Pocket Circuit Racer yet, although I do want to save up 50 million yen and get this really cool one I found in some store.
The pawn shop.
Yeah. That looks awesome. Whatever that little car is looks bad.
Yeah, so right off the bat, the one that jumps out to me as my absolute favorite is the karaoke. Like, you just can't get around it. Doing karaoke is a blast. So I was getting kind of upset that I hadn't 100%ed any of them yet. So I just, like, last night, I just sat... I think it was last night or the night before. I just sat there and did Judgment for like 10 times until I got the 100% on it. It's like, I need to 100% this song.
Dude, I got to tell you, last night I did Judgment and I got a 98 and I was so proud, and I minimized the game to come share it in Discord, and then saw on Steam where you shared that you got 100, and I'm like, oh, well, fuck, this isn't impressive. I'm not even going to share.
Breaking the law.
Oh, yeah. Breaking the world. If I can find an MP3 of that, absolutely ending the episode with that song. If I can find
it.
Hell yes.
For sure.
Yeah, like Bakamitai is the big meme song, because that's the one that's available basically in every version of Yakuza. Yeah, the thing that I always wind up doing, apart from like specifically with Zero, the thing that I always wind up doing is at the local arcade, they have Outrun, and I just always try to get a better score on Outrun. I'm so close to being able to beat that game. Like, I swear to God, if I can just get a little bit better at it. But the thing is, in order to beat that game, you basically can't crash once. Like, you are fucked if you crash once. Which, I mean, to be fair, that is how it works in most races. But
they need to get a copy of Outrun at like Game Galaxy Forest Ball. It's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen one of those in the wild that I can think of, which is weird considering how many retro arcades I've been to. Yeah, like there might have been one at Galloping Ghost and I just didn't notice it. But anyway, it plays so much like Rad Racer to me.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's not really usually
it's got that pole position.
It's not usually my kind of game, but I think I just got it in my head because there's a person at the arcade that challenges you to beat her score, and I'm just like, well, clearly I'm going to do that, And then there's a thing later in the game that it's an optional challenge to get an even higher score later, and so. In my initial playthrough of this game, I just I grinded it so hard until I could finally hit that 5 million, and now I can do that pretty consistently. But like I think I think if I actually beat the game, my score would be somewhere at like 9 million, But anyway, yeah. So I play that a lot. I like the Pocket Circuit Racers. Batting cages are super cool, but. I could just list off
all of them.
Basically everything except for Mahjong and Shogi, which I just don't understand the rules to. So,
See, Yeah, Mahjong. The Mahjong that I'm familiar with is Shanghai Mahjong, which is way different.
The solitaire
way
version?
fucking different.
Yeah.
So the oh my goodness, my brain just fucking. What the fuck is going on with my brain today? What were you just fucking talking about? I apologize.
You're just too mesmerized by the handsomeness of
Mahjong.
The no. The not Mahjong before that. God damn
Shogi.
No.
Outrun?
Before that. Outrun. Oh my god, thank you. Jesus fucking
Outrun?
Christ. Outrun. I really appreciate that they stuck these older games in here, that you can just play them, like Outrun and Space Harrier, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was in Like a Dragon. Oh, when I was fucking around, I played through of Virtua Fighter 5.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
I'm like, that's so cool. And did they continue that in the other Yakuza games?
Yeah, all the Yakuza games have, like, in those arcades, because those arcades are pretty constant, they'll have, like, a couple of them in one arcade and then a couple of them in another arcade around. In the most recent Judgment game, they had Sonic the Fighters,
Nice.
which is the Virtua Fighter, but
what?
Sonic the Hedgehog characters, I think in Yakuza 6 they had one of the Puyo Pop games. In Yakuza 5 they had a Taiko Drum Master, which was interesting because that's not a thing that's owned by Sega, so they always have a couple. I think because Zero was so popular, they will tend to have Outrun in the more recent games, but it's not like a 100% constant thing. But they will have old games, just in the various arcades,
Surprised it's always Outrun, because, like, I've seen Hang On, which is also a Sega game, in arcades, and I've rarely seen Outrun.
My Sega Master System, if you turn it on with nothing in it, you can play Hang On. Like, it is on the system.
Yeah. Have you played Super Hang On, the Sega Genesis version? It's awesome. It has, like, this, like, this custom mode where you, like, can build your vehicle up, you put more parts on a motorcycle.
That's cool.
It's awesome. Love Super Hang On. It's in the
you can actually play
you
Super Hang On in Yakuza 0. This is kind of a spoiler, but you have to, it might be available in Majima's arcade, I'm not positive, but in Kiryu's arcade, not the big one, but the little one, there's the clerk that challenges you to get higher scores on Outrun. If you build up your friendship with her, then there's double entendre shenanigans where she says she's going to give you a ride if you beat her score, and then it turns out that she got the new Super Hang-On machine for you to play.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. That's good to know. So I would say that, like, my favorite side thing that I've come across so far has been Puzzle Pool.
Oh, I forgot about that. I hadn't tried that this time.
It's very lucrative if you can get it. Like, you can win you can win up to 9 million yen if you can get all three of them without fucking up. I have not yet. Actually, I take that back. I did it one time. But the final shot is tricky. But it's very much like, they give you the line that you can aim with, and you can make the camera go above the pool so you can kind of do your trick shots the way you do. The real kicker is figuring out how hard to hit the motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because they have it set up where, like, there's, like, these dollar bills, or I guess it would be yen, just stacked up, and then there are 2 8-balls, and you cannot touch the 8 balls. If you touch the 8 balls, that's dead. If the white ball goes into the hole, dead. Like, it gets kind of tough, but it's very fun. I don't know. I like puzzles, so it's just fun for me. What about you, Nate? What about you? Side game, favorite game story thing.
Willie,
what about you?
He's put. You're pointing on my screen.
On my screen, I'm pointing.
Sorry,
I already went. I was the first one to go.
Did you? Oh God, I'm an idiot, Willie.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say this. I was actually a little surprised to find shogi in this, because I only know a little bit about shogi, but I know just enough to be kind of dangerous. Like, not dangerous in the sense that I can beat any actual shogi player who's played more than 10 games of it, but I know, like, what the pieces are called and how they move and shit, and, like, the basic rules of it. So, like, I actually went in there and I went to the shogi parlor and played the first challenge, which is just beat the opponent if they only have a king and 9 pawns and nothing else. And then I played the lowest ranked player in the shogi parlor, and somehow won that game, despite the fact that I was losing on material for most of it, because dumbass left, like, his king on the back rank, and I had a dragon rook on the 8th, and just kind of, it was like X-raying it, so I could drop a gold general right in front of it, just push, checkmate. Shogi is so for people that don't know shogi, it's like chess, except when you take a piece, you basically now instead of killing the guy, you've basically captured it, and you can play it as your own piece instead of using a turn. And that's like a really cool idea. But also, the pieces are a lot slower in shogi, and the board is larger, so like things don't affect the entire board as much as they do in chess. So it's kind of like a little bit more localized. It's like battles and wars, kind of like how Go is. So that was kind of neat. Then I played the fucking when I switched characters in chapter 3, like which we're gonna get to absolutely. But I played that guy, and I'm like, I'm a beginner at shogi, and he's like, oh, I'll play as like a 10th Q, and then he just beat my ass to death. Like absolutely crushed me at shogi. Like I felt like chess idiot. But he said he was 10Q. He's supposed to be a beginner.
So we can use that for a good transition. So you do start the game as Kiryu, and you play through the first 2 chapters, which kind of, and this is where we're going to start getting into a little bit of spoiler territory for listeners. So just fair warning. That guy that you beat up in the empty lot ends up coming up murdered, and Kiryu is like, well, he was absolutely not dead when I left. And then, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he ends up deciding in order to not dishonor the name of is it Kazuma?
Mm-hmm. Kazama. Yes,
Kazama.
His father figure.
Yeah, he leaves the family so it doesn't come back on them while he tries to figure out what actually happened.
But let's talk a little bit about that, though, because the story of leading up, to him leaving the family is one of the best parts in the early game. So, like, he decides against his mentor's better will and his oath brother, Nishikiyama. Forgive me if I pronounce these names terribly. But
I'm just glad you had that name.
Nishikiyama, like his oath brother, and he's a really fun and good character. I love this guy. It's like who you spend your most time with at the very beginning of the first chapter. But leading up to that, on the news, they see that the guy that Kiryu beat up in the empty lot to pay back to get like the collection debt for the banker that he was doing a job for turned up dead. And Yakuza is not supposed to kill people. At least not at his level.
Not civilians.
Yeah, not civilians. So, in order to, like you said, to save them from shame, he decides to go to the Tojo family headquarters. Well, is it Tojo family headquarters or the Dojima?
It was specifically the Dojima family.
Yeah, the Dojima family headquarters.
It's a weird branching system.
The third strongest. I think the Dojima are like the third strongest family in the Tojo.
So he goes to the Dojima family headquarters to basically say, I'm quitting to not dishonor the family. Well, he gets there, and one of the lieutenants, Lieutenant Kuze, is like, you're not going to leave here alive. So you get this whole scene where Kuze leaves, you with a bunch of his goons. And this just goes back to that scene like Paul was talking about from Yakuza 3, which when he was describing that, I was like, holy crap. So he leaves you with his goons to kill.
Same.
Go ahead, Willie.
No, I'm just saying it's same. I was like absolutely stoked on the scene. Please.
So he leaves you with this guy and these little underlings to basically kill you before you can get back up to him, and you're trying to make it back up to talk to the Kuze again so you can quit with honor and all that. And so before Kuze leaves, he's like, oh, yeah, you can quit the Dojima clan, dead, and leaves all these guys to kill you. So you beat through this first wave of people, you leave the room, you catch your breath, you start trying to head up to where, Kuze's hanging out. And that guy that he left behind comes up behind you, tries to swing at the back of your head, and it throws a quick time event at you where you have to hit the right buttons at the right time in order to prevent him from hitting you. This was hard for me at first. Quick time events were very hard for me at first. Yeah. And I got better at it as the game went on, but God, I do not know the layout of an Xbox controller by heart until this game. Anyway, so you do the quick time event, and now you're fighting him again, and he has more lackeys around, so you beat them up, and you head on to the next room, which is more like a hallway. Dude comes at you behind again. This time I think he had like a baseball bat. He swings at you, and it's more quick time event where you gotta stop and everything. And you beat these guys up again because he has another gang of lackeys with him. This was one of my favorite ones, though, because there was a window in that room with me. And I was beating up one of the lackeys, and I do the heat finisher where you press the Y button after a grab, where he picks up the guy. I defenestrated a dude. I threw him straight out the window. And it was one of the most satisfying like knockdowns in this game that I've seen yet. It's just that early in. Man. So anyway, you continue going on, and you end up in this bathroom finally. Guess what? Dude busts in with I think he had a katana at this point.
Yeah, he literally had a katana.
And you're just like, God, this guy doesn't quit. And so finally, you beat this guy, and that's the last time. And you're like, that was a crazy boss fight, right, guys? That was nuts.
Right.
So you walk in, and then Lieutenant Kuze's there, ready for a real boss fight.
Yeah, the real fight. Yeah.
Yeah, if he's got his shirt off so you can see his awesome back piece.
Yeah.
His badass Yakuza, their whole thing is they get tatted but not where you can see it, right? So not the neckline and not the wrists.
Yeah, tattoos are a much bigger deal in Japan because they're very closely associated with Yakuza, just in general.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing, I think it was Anthony Bourdain had to wear long sleeves over there because he had tattoos on his arms. They were like, oh, no, you got to wear sleeves, boo. So.
Yeah, it's pretty common with a lot of gaijin. I think the wrestler John Tenta had to wear a big cover-up when he wrestled in Japan because they thought he would look like Yakuza otherwise.
Yeah. And so that was actually a pretty hard fight for me, at least, was fighting Kuze for the first time in this game. I don't know about you guys, but ever since the very beginning of the game, fights have been so much easier for me. I haven't really struggled with anything since the beginning of the game. But, that was so hard at the very beginning. I was like, oh, this is going to turn into one of these grind fests. It's going to be really hard to get anywhere in. But I haven't really struggled since then. But that fight was nuts.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It was very hard.
I had the exact same experience. That fight, I died on it 4 or 5 times. I, looked at the menu, I was, reading everything. Okay, it says use the RB to circle around him and, all that, but I was getting creamed by that guy so much because if he hits you once with your combo, you're kind of in hit stun and you can't really get out, and he'll just keep on doing his little 5-hit, 6-hit combo.
Yeah, you got to be careful. I definitely like rush style for bosses, because you can do the quick steps to get around them.
It depends.
And get behind them.
It depends because I found some bosses I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a guy you fight later on in the game that I couldn't touch with the rush style, and I had to go to brawl style just to take him down.
I definitely used a mix of rush and I used brawl for the most part, and then when he got to towards the end where he's really going nuts, that's when I used a lot of rush on.
Now rush, I couldn't beat Mr. Shakedown without rush mode.
Yeah. No, I don't know how people do that without being able to dodge a lot.
I've just run from every Mr. Shakedown I've seen. I have not fought him once since.
But anyways, so go ahead, Dalton.
Oh, I was just going to say, how many times do you run into Bacchus before Kuze? Was it once or twice?
I think it's once. I think you only have the brawl style and the rush style.
Yeah, you pick up Beast after the Kuze fight.
Okay. Yeah, I just real quick, I love Bacchus. He is such a weird character. He's just a white dude who shows up and teaches you how to fight. Hey! It's just hilarious. That's who you learn fighting skills from as Kazuya.
Yeah.
Kiryu, what the Kazuya?
Kazuya from Tekken.
Kazuya from Tekken. Yeah.
His first name is Kazuma, so it's pretty close.
Kazuma.
Yeah.
I'm so bad with Japanese. Jesus Christ. Okay, continue. Neat.
Yeah, and Kazuya is actually an anagram of Yakuza.
It is. Wow.
No, so you finally beat Kuze, and once you beat Kuze, the other 2 lieutenants, who we should have talked about earlier, but we kind of glanced over it. But Orano and I can't remember the other guy's name. It's Shibasuno.
Sure enough.
Yeah, sorry, I'm bad with the lieutenants' names.
I know Awano.
No, Shibusawa and Awano.
Shibusawa.
Yeah, they're there too, and so basically, Dojima himself comes into the room as well, and then Kiryu's like, I do want to quit the Yakuza, and the lieutenants were like, you already did. We heard you do it with Kuze downstairs, and then Dojin was like, yeah, I can't go back on what my lieutenant says. You're out of the Yakuza. So that was a really cool scene. And then after that, they were like, Kuze, you're disgraced in this moment. And then they make him cut off his pinky finger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they take it at the knuckle, right? Isn't that the thing is they get your finger at each knuckle for every time you fuck up, and they just keep going? That's... Oh.
Yeah. It's so fucking
it's rough.
though, my God.
Yeah.
hurt to watch, even though they don't show it. I mean, they show it enough that it just made me go, ugh, I sucked my pinky.
Yeah, and that's such a good scene. That's basically the chapter 1 for you. There's chapter 1 kind of ends on that note where Kiryu's now officially out of the Yakuza, can't really go back to his friends like Nishikiyama, and I can't remember the name of the guy that's kind of over the branch while Kazuma's in jail.
Yeah, it all kind of blurs together for me, even though I'm a huge fan of this. Like, he's an important character, but it's just escaping me. I see his face, I see the scar on his face, but
yeah, he's got the scar on his face. His name is Osamu Kashiwagi.
Kashiwagi,
yeah. And then chapter 2 is where you first meet the real estate broker, correct? His name starts with a T. It's
Tachibana.
Tanahashi, I think.
Tachibana.
Yeah, Tanahashi's a wrestler.
Yeah, Tachibana.
Yeah, you guys in your wrestling, I swear.
Sorry, I got wrestling break.
He's got wrestling
Tanahashi's
bitch face.
Never mind.
Wrestling Tachibana Real Estate. Yeah, it's like it's weird because like this is where Nate shares it, a screenshot, and he was just like, "Here's a Yakuza in the shower for anybody who's interested."
Yeah, I shared that on the Discord. So if you want to see a Yakuza in the shower, go to tsmp. bit.ly/tsmp Discord.
There you go, all capital letters. You come out of the shower and this dude's just like sitting there, and I don't know about you guys, I thought he was a hitman because he had on the black glove, and I'm like, I've played enough of the video game Hitman to know that's so you don't leave fingerprints on a pistol.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was thinking too.
Very much like, oh, who the fuck is this guy? But it turns out he just gives you a business card, if I remember correctly. He's just, here, call me, because Kiryu is very much like, go fuck yourself. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's all fucked up, because like that fight took everything out of him, and he more or less passes out in the street, and like Tachibana kind of brings him in, that's why he gets washed up, and everything, and then like he kind of offers him an opportunity because he's another person that's interested in the empty lot. Which is basically like, it's kind of, people are buying up real estate in Kamurocho because they're in the middle of the bubble era, which is like a big economic boom in Japanese history in the 80s, so there's this one tiny little piece of real estate that nobody can figure out who owns it, but if they can buy it, they can have like a monopoly on this huge block of Kamurocho and sell it for a huge profit or develop it into something that'll make an absurd amount of money. So like the prices that are floating around for just the empty lot is like 1 billion yen, which is, I think it's like $10 million in America money,
Insane.
But, so everybody's looking for who owns the empty lot. And, Kuze and all them think that Kiryu's father, Kazuma, knows something about it, and is holding out on them because he's trying to use it as a power play, when he gets out of prison, and Tachibana, is trying to follow up on leads on it, because he's trying to wrestle power away from the Yakuza, and it's all a giant clusterfuck, and the dead guy in the empty lot, like the other lieutenants think that this is basically Kazuma trying to stall them, because if there's a lot of police attention on the area, then they can't move as, freely in there, and all that stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces to all of this.
Yeah. And Tachibana seems, he's very mysterious. Mm-hmm. Like he kind of just appears. Yeah. Like I've never seen him like stroll up. It's like, Kiryu turns around and he's there like a fucking shadow.
Yep.
Also, he knows everything about you. Like, he literally gives you your whole life story when he meets you.
Yeah, dude, he's a cool character so far. I'm very interested to see like how this is going to interweave as it continues on. You know what I mean? Because I think I just started chapter 7, I believe. Yeah.
I'm on chapter 10, and I just got a pretty huge reveal that interweaves the stories a little bit, so I'm kind of like,
I'll get there soon, man. I'll get there soon. I'm going to take taking the training wheels off these next 2 weeks. So, chapter 3 starts.
What we got?
Oh,
Or did I miss
beginning
something
of
too?
chapter
Is there something else in 2 that we should go up? 2 was a pretty short chapter. 3 and
Yeah, 2 wasn't huge, like, because the main thing from chapter 2 in terms of plot development is meeting Tachibana, you know, and he does that. Is that does he do the thing where he like waves his hand at the end of chapter 2, or is that later?
Yes, that was
Okay,
chapter 2. Yeah, he waves his arm and like all the lights slowly go out behind him, and it's like so.
Yeah, it's like a
cool
display
to
of
see.
power because he has enough connections to be like, I'm going to do this at this time. I need you to shut off the power so that I look cool. You know, like
either that or he has magic, which that has not been introduced into the Yakuza series, as far as I know.
I was wondering if maybe he was like the devil or something, and this was going to take a weird turn. But
oh man,
yeah, that scene was awesome. When he did that, I was like, "Oh shit!"
No, that's dope.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think this is also towards the end of chapter 2 is where you get beast mode. You got to fight Jun Oda. I think that's how you say the name. I have it all here, right here. I'm looking at a little thing to help me remember. And you end up like I remember beast mode helping a lot with that final boss fight in chapter 2, just because there's a lot of shit around that you can hit him with.
Yeah, a lot of weapons that you can pick up because beast mode, like you don't have to pick up an item and then strike with it. You can just attack while you're near a weapon and it'll pick it up automatically.
How did 2 end again?
I'm pretty sure 2 ended with the Tachibana doing the wave thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is you fight Oda because Oda wants to like test you out, and then
that's okay. Yeah.
I already could not remember if Oda showed up in 2 or later.
There's the thing where Tachibana brings you in and talks to you for a minute, but you're like, I'm not sure. And so you spend most of chapter 2 just kind of tracking down Tachibana real estate and seeing what they're all about, you know, and like you see how they're kind of muscling their way into different properties, you know, and then you kind of find your way back to Tachibana. You have to fight Oda first to prove that you're a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah, I spent...
Yeah, Oda, you see him like shaking down like the owner of a bar in a commercial property that they've otherwise got shut down.
I spent most of chapter 2 doing side quests.
Well, that's the thing. The game is designed to kind of lead you in that direction because it doesn't tell you specifically where to go to do the next plot point. It's just like, okay, I've just got to go around town and see what I hear about Tachibana real estate. And like, you know, so if you just go across the map, eventually you'll find people that are talking about it that'll lead you to the next plot point. But odds are you're going to run into a few side quests before you run into those guys specifically. So it's very clever game design that it kind of incentivizes you to experience more of the open world.
And another point about the open world, too, is when you're just kind of traversing through this town, groups of people like, oh, look, it's him, let's get him. And it's like you'll end up fighting groups of thugs or the Men in Black, as they're called in the game, and have to beat them up. And there's also points in the game in the overworld where you'll run into somebody that's being harassed by one of these gangs, and you can choose whether or not you want to break it up and help the victim, who will generally give you a pretty decent reward for helping him, or just kind of walk on past without any comment.
I had one of those that the whole situation made me laugh. So I came upon him. It was like 3 biker dudes kicking a guy on the ground. So I went over, I intervened, I fight him. The dude gives me an item. I walked away and did something else. Came back to this exact spot. Dude was back on the ground. Bikers were kicking him again. And I'm like, why didn't you just leave? So I had to intervene, beat him up again, and then hopefully they fucked off. I don't know. But it was funny to me. It's the same spot, same people, beating the shit out of the same dude. It's just...
Legends say 21 years later, he's still getting beaten down there to this day.
Yeah, I didn't have too terribly like hard of a time with Oda. Like he hit pretty hard, but like with all the like, because you had like the chairs and the tables and all of that around there that you could just kind of
yeah, that helps a lot.
No, to me the hardest thing still has been that lead up to and fighting Lieutenant Kuze in chapter 1, and I don't know if that's just because I know the controls now. Or
I think it's probably that and a combination of you probably leveling up some with some of your stats and things, which really that does make a difference.
Yeah.
But that is fair. Like, literally all of my deaths were to Kuze. That is literally the only guy that's busted me so far. So I'm kind of with you, bro.
Okay, so now chapter 3 starts. And it rolls in it. Now, I think this probably had more of an effect on Paul, being that you had played the other Yakuza game, so you're more familiar with the character they introduced.
Yeah.
But it starts off and you're like in this, is it like a cabaret? It's not a cabaret.
It's cabaret.
It's like a...
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's a cabaret club.
No, it's not a club. It's a cabaret. You can get cabaret clubs later.
Sorry, it's a full cabaret club. It's a full cabaret. The clubs are the mini versions of it.
Yeah.
Like the hostess clubs. Yeah.
So, like, one of these places is basically you go in, you pay money to have a pretty girl come and sit with you and pretend that she cares about what you're talking about. And their job is to make you spend as much money as possible on watered down booze. That's what I know about those places, right?
Yep.
And I believe that everything's going fine and dandy. And the little subplot that they have with the two guys coming in, where it's like the one guy from, was he from Tokyo? Or he was from like somewhere important.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't know if we...
There was a businessman that was coming in from Tokyo, and then like his like associate in Osaka is trying to show him a good time. So we're in Osaka now. We're no longer in Tokyo, by the way.
That's right. And he's like, this place looks like... I heard there's a lot of Yakuza around this area. And he's like, don't worry about it, man. We'll be fine. So they go up and they get their table, and he's still worried about he needs to leave and things. But that's like, no, everything will be okay. And then, of course, downstairs, someone starts causing an issue. This guy's like trying to cop a feel of a titty. I shouldn't say trying. Some guy is copping a feel of a titty, like hardcore. And this girl's like screaming no. And he's like, bitch, this is what I paid you for. Yada, yada. I'm a paying customer. Customer's always right. The typical things you deal with in customer service. And is that the time where the band stops and then you just see the shoes coming down the stairs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he pushes down like one of the regular waiters, who's like, sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. And then he's like, fuck off, and then the band stops and you just see like these very pointed shiny shoes walking down. And we see Goro Majima, who is a fan favorite character in the series. He's kind of Kiryu's rival. In the whole thing, like he's usually like a major boss encounter, and the thing that about him from previous games is that he is an absolute wild man. Like he is insane. He will just fuck shit up on every conceivable level, and then you see him come in here and it's definitely Majima. He's got his trademark eye patch and everything, but he's very calm. He's very measured. He makes several offers for the man to, leave politely, and the guy's just like, nah, fuck you. I'm going to do what I want. And he tries to fight him and you can't hit him back. Like it goes into combat and you can't hit him back. You just dodge him. And every heat action you do is just providing the most wonderful service to him, offering him a hot towel, and just stuff like that, like just dance in circles around him, and, he eventually just, I'm missing some connective tissue here. I don't know why. Like, does somebody want to fill in for me exactly how this goes? Like,
I believe
because it's a really good moment. I'm missing something in the middle here for some reason, and it's not coming to my mind.
I think it's the thing where like you wear him out because he's trying to kick your ass, but you're just dodging it and being nice to him to the point that you're like,
yeah, it just makes him matter.
He grabs a bottle and breaks it on the fucking desk and like comes at him again with the broken bottle, I think.
Yeah. And then I believe what ends up making him have a change of heart is Majima being like, oh, well, I saw your business card or whatever. An upstanding citizen like you probably wouldn't want something like this getting out.
Yeah, because he's like the head of like some kind of pharmaceutical corporation or something like that, and so basically he's like, now we could we could hand you over to the police, or, in the hospitality world, it's customary to, just buy everybody around. Would you be willing to buy around for everybody in this establishment? And it's like, there's at least like 100 people here, and so the guy's just like, all right, I'll do it. Like he's just utterly defeated, and it's just super cool. And it's not how you expect Majima to handle this situation. Like the Majima that from previous games would be very happy to just cut a bitch, and it's so specific and measured, that it's really interesting to see, but it is a thing where he's a very different character, in Zero from the rest of the series. And I mean, part of that comes down to the fact that it's decades before, we know him, but it's really interesting. I really like seeing it.
Yeah. And then it kind of leads into you meeting you get one of your waiters comes up and he's like, "Sir, there's a man who is ordering all of our top shelf booze on this other person's dime." And Majima's just like, "Oh, well, we can't have that." And you go to talk to him, and it ends up being maybe Majima's boss, I believe.
Kind of his handler, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
Because he is. It turns out that this is kind of a punishment for him working this job, because of things that are clarified in Yakuza 5. He and his blood brother were part of like this, essentially assassination thing, and like Saejima, his brother or blood brother, went and did the actual thing. Majima got caught, left behind, and that's how he lost his eye. Basically they're trying to get him to talk about stuff, and he's just like, "Fuck you," so his way back into the family after that disgrace is he has to run the Grand, which is the cabaret that he works at, and get a lot of money for his senior in the Yakuza, and the guy is just screwing him over at every turn, basically making it clear that, yeah, you're never going to actually get back in, but this is the only life that Majima knows. So he's like, I'm going to do it,
Yeah. And okay. So Nate, I'm curious about you. I'll start with you and then Willie. How did you feel about like when you started chapter 3 and all of a sudden you're playing as somebody else? Were you like,
I didn't like it because I'd already gotten super attached to Kiryu at this point. Like, I was ready to keep going down this storyline with Kiryu, and then all of a sudden they throw this other guy at me. Now, granted, dude makes a hell of an entrance, but I was just like still so invested in what was going on with Kiryu that I wasn't ready to change over characters, and I didn't actually know that this game did that.
I actually didn't either.
On the other hand, like, I was so fucking stoked by this guy's entrance, and I'm like, oh, please let me play as this character. I am immediately on board with this guy. This guy rules. I want to play as him. Like, I, honest to God, was like, dude, like, I only slightly know the Yakuza mythos. Like, I've heard of the characters before. I didn't really know what Goro Majima was all about. But the moment I saw Majima do that cool shit in the club, and it's like, he's simultaneously like this pro dude, and then like the moment he gets backstage, he's kind of like this really crass guy. It's like, oh shit, this guy can just like change the way he talks to be the perfect guy for any situation. Like, I love that of him.
And now from there, I do believe you are tasked with going to the rival club and stealing their best girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Odyssey.
Yeah, because you're trying to figure out a way to make even more money so that you can get through this punishment faster, because now he wants like 50 million yen or whatever ridiculous number he came up with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I forget the exact number, but it's...
I have it right here.
It was 500 million, yeah. Or
That's a lot of fucking yen, dude.
Yeah.
Every time I look at the numbers in this game, too, I'm like, that doesn't sound like so much. Then I realize, oh, wait, this is 1981, so we're talking about 40-something years of inflation later.
Yeah, a lot, dude.
But yeah, like, and Majima, he goes to that other club sort of undercover. He just wears sunglasses instead of an eye patch, which I'm like, I feel like he could do better.
He's easily recognized by the other club's owner. Like, he was not put off for a second there. But that scene, when you get into that club and are starting to look around and scouting out the club, has some of the funniest crap you see in the entire game.
Yeah,
I love that.
There's the guy in his underwear just thrusting wildly. It's just like, what the shit is that? It has nothing to do with the rest of the scene. He's just there.
Just in the corner, doing his thing.
Living his best life, just thrusting and naked, mostly.
Willie got an achievement for this part, which me and Nate both did not. So, like, I don't know what we missed to not get the best, but apparently I missed something when looking around the room. I thought that was a cool little, instead of like having you walk around and look at stuff, it kind of went to like almost like a visual novel look around.
Yeah, like a first person look around and zoom into stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting.
I don't think you guys missed anything there. I think what you guys didn't do is go around the city long enough, because you meet like 3 or 4 different people on the outside of the city, and once you get enough information from them, then you Majima says, "Okay, now I have enough ammunition to go to the club."
Yeah,
and,
I got impatient in that
negotiate.
section. I kind of I found one or two people and then went in because I was like, I want to get back to Kiryu.
Well, most people apparently did that because I got 5.4% achievement.
Wow.
So 5.2%.
Yeah, that's basically the entirety of Chapter 3 is the intro to Majima and then going over to the Odyssey and getting that girl. Excuse me. Then you also meet the the Brachus of Majima's world. I don't remember what his name is right offhand, but he teaches you the weapon style. I believe.
Slugger style.
Slugger, yeah, where you whip out that. That's my favorite style in this whole game. Is Slugger style. I love that fucking bat, dude. XXY, and he just starts windmilling that shit.
Yeah,
Yes,
nunchucks
please.
with the bat. Yeah. Have you done the heat move where he like sticks the handle end in somebody's mouth and then kicks it?
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh
one.
my god.
Oh man, that one's just like, oh dear God, that is rough.
brutal.
Yeah, like I think you have to like break somebody's guard with a I guess it would be B button on the Xbox, and then there's like a small window where you can do a heat action, and that's the thing for that.
The one that I've seen the most with the bat is the one where he hits them in the gut and they fall to their knees, and then he just Louisville sluggers them right across the face.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is a classic.
But yeah, then that rolls into Chapter 4. Now, this is probably the last chapter we'll touch on because this is the one that Willie's wrapping up right now.
Sorry, I've played 15 hours.
Dude,
and I'm still dragging
you
the
got
game
side
down.
quests do that, man, and it's not a problem.
Yeah, it's very
100%.
easy to spend a lot of time doing stuff that is not plot relevant, for lack of a better term. You know.
Yeah, Willie, I've put in, let's see, I had 12 hours into this game when I first started it. Let me go click it really quick to tell you what I have now. And I'm only in Chapter 7. I'm at 45 hours. So, like, I put a lot of time in. I've been doing a lot of side stuff, bro. A lot of pool.
I'm at 27 hours and I'm on Chapter 10, but I feel like I still haven't been slacking on the side quest. Just like it just gets going. It rolls, dude, when it rolls.
Yeah.
But in Chapter 4, you get a call from your boss who's like, hey, come have drinks with me. And this is where Majima says, I would rather drink a mug of my own warm piss than come have beer with you, or something along those lines, which is just tremendous. But you end up, oh, go ahead.
Gotta say, big props to both the writing.
Yeah,
and
the
the
localization
translation.
team is
Like,
really good on these games.
Because it's obvious these lines are supposed to be funny and like they're smart enough to each other. They do a great job of making it like make sense. Like I love it.
So he tells you that you have to go and perform a hit. You have to kill someone named Makota Makimura. And so then it becomes like, I think you go to this type of thing. I don't know if they have it here in the States, but in Japan it's the telephone club where you can just like go and have phone sex with people, I guess, or maybe you can talk normal too. I really don't know how it works. It seemed like a phone sex thing to me. They put you in a tight little corridor. I don't know. That's the vibe I got. But
I really did not understand what the teleclub was, but like it seemed like something that
There's a
made
whole
sense
mini
to
game
me.
Yeah,
for
that
it.
mini game is hilarious too, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
really,
yeah, it's
I'll
one of
have to check
Kiri's
that
mini
out.
games.
Mm-hmm.
So basically,
what
it
do you
comes
do?
up. You have to answer the phone using a QuickTime event. Then when you answer the phone, you start having a conversation with the woman on the other end, and it shows you like 4 options of things you can say to them. But the options start like moving around, and you have to like basically aim a cursor and shoot the option you want to use. But in order to shoot the thing, you have to like rotate your joystick in like a 360-degree motion while aiming the other one and let go. It's like almost like pulling back a bow and arrow.
Yeah,
wow.
it's very
It
involved.
took me a minute to
and
figure it
has-
out the first time. So like I did like a 3-minute session. I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do till like the second minute.
The thing that I love about it
That's
is
tremendous.
like, and this is a thing that kind of comes back to how much I love Kiryu, is that he goes at literally anything that he does with the exact same amount of intensity.
Yeah.
Like if he is fighting a Yakuza boss for his life, or if he is trying to get a date at the telephone club, it is the exact same level of intensity. Like the way that he picks up the phone, it's this big slow-mo shot of him picking up the thing and then putting it up to Moshi Moshi.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's just
The Moshi Moshi cracked me
it's-
up so hard.
yeah, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Like that's the secret of the comedy in this series, is that Kiryu is up for anything, and he goes at everything so hard. Yeah. He only has one speed. It's great. But sorry, I didn't want to. That was just a thing I wanted to bring up somewhere.
Yeah, I did too, and I felt bad I didn't bring it up when we were talking about mini games because that one cracked me up so freaking hard. But yeah, so you're at the telephone club, and I do think it's a thing where like women call in to talk to men and just try to arrange something or not, depending on, or just have a conversation with them. But like, but so like, when you're in that phone club, you're trying to get information about this Makimoto person. And so like you're trying, because like, apparently you've heard that they own a sex slave ring, essentially, like prostitution. And so you're trying to get in touch with one of their girls so that you can find out more information about Makimoto. Yeah.
And you eventually get the call from the girl, and she starts asking you about tattoos. Yes, I have tattoos. Ooh, do you have a bat tattoo? No.
No, I've got a Hanya. You know, like, you know, it's just
just a big Japanese devil. It's all good. It's big. So you end up talking this girl into meeting, and that's kind of where you get the information from her and stuff. But she drags you all over town. Like you have to spend a bunch of money on her. The first place she takes you, I think, is the club, the sushi. That's right, sushi. And then from there to the dance club.
Nope. But in between, there's one other thing she has you do. Because
it's the arcade, isn't it? Like she has you do the crane machine.
That's right. You have to get her to catch you. That's right. You have to get a UFO machine to catch the claw the second thing. Then you go across the bridge. I'm only correcting you because I did this 2 hours
I love
ago.
the UFO machines. Those are so much fun to just collect.
Have you found the side quest with the little girl, like, wanting you to get different things out of it?
I completed that one because I was having so much fun with it. Daddy!
Yeah, and then when you're going across the bridge, that's where you get the dancing fighting style, correct?
Yeah.
The breaker fighting style. Yeah, that's pretty fun.
Yes. Holy shit.
It's my least favorite in the game.
Holy shit.
I think I only used it.
It's cool, but I can't make any use of it.
I switched immediately.
It's good if you're surrounded. That's the thing that I find.
Yeah. But I'd still rather just a couple hits with a slugger than try to spin on my head and kick 5 guys in the face, doing like half the damage.
Yeah, I get
it. Yeah. Slugger gives you that damage, and it gives you that widespread. Like it's such a
good the thing about the slugger that you got to be careful with is that you can't be too close to a wall, otherwise you'll bounce off of that,
and you get hit stunned like crazy with that.
Yeah, I do get hit stunned a lot, and it's it's bothersome sometimes. I do like that. Anytime you like learn the new fighting style, Kiryu is like, "That's rad," and then Majima's like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, it's so funny.
This is amazing.
Yeah. I wanted to bring it up. Which is your preference? That's rad, or
I like that's
shit?
rad.
I like the holy shit. It cracked me up just to see Majima open his one up really big, like holy shit.
Yeah. I don't know. I like them both, man. If I had to choose, it'd probably be the holy shit. But the Kiryu's face, that's rad. It's just
that's rad.
So this girl ends up telling you where you can. Doesn't she? She's the one that tells you where you can find.
Yeah. He's a
Makimura?
chiropractor apparently.
Okay, so this is where we're going to get into the area, Willie. That this is stuff that you'll be seeing soon.
That's fine. I'm okay with spoilers here because I probably should have got a little further in the game than I did. But let's find out what happens next.
So you go to the massage parlor, I believe. Well, actually, I think you go home for the night to his apartment, and then you go to the massage parlor. And you go there with a. What is is a wakizashi, I believe it is?
Yeah, I think it's a wakizashi that he's carrying.
Short katana blade. It's like a dagger almost. Yeah. And you go
it's kind of a signature weapon of Makima, or of Majima's in the later games. He really likes those kind of knives.
Okay. So you go there, and you're looking for this person, and you start looking at this sign that's got this big fucking beefy tattooed guy on it. It's like the hands of God. And he's a massage therapist.
God handle.
So, you think that's like, okay, you're here to kill that guy. So you're waiting and waiting and waiting. And finally this girl comes in, like this blind girl, and she's like, I'll work on you. And you're like, no.
I thought your back was killing you. So you eventually give in and let her start working on you. And you fall asleep while getting a massage.
Aw.
And when you wake up...
He's been very tense.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would be too after all this shit.
No kidding, dude.
Yeah.
So he... when you wake up, you hear the voice of the guy coming in, and when he comes in, it's like that dude immediately knew what was up. Like, the blind girl obviously has no idea. You know what I'm saying? But the guy...
Yeah, but he sees he sees Majima's tattoos, and he's just like, oh, okay, I see what's going on. You know,
yeah. And he looks at that, and then he, like, both of them kind of, like, look down at that dagger that Majima's got, and they look back at each other. And the guy's kind of, like, walk. Now, I didn't realize at this point this girl was blind. I don't know how.
I don't know how you didn't realize that either.
I don't know
they
how.
do a whole comedy sketch, because when she first comes in, Majima just doesn't say anything and tries to, you know, like... Yeah. Flatten himself against the wall and not get bumped into. But
see, I almost wonder if I got up to pee or something during that and didn't think that was going to be like a major thing. Because I didn't realize that up until this point. So when he was grabbing those needles and stuff, I was like, why is she not saying anything about him grabbing those needles in this really fucking tense moment that's going on right here? She is so oblivious.
No, because when he grabs the needles, like she hears them. He's like, "Oh, are you gonna give him the acupuncture treatment? Lucky day for you, Majima-san."
He only gives that to preferred customers. That's right. Yeah. So you end up having to fight this dude.
First, he sends her out to go get a pack of smokes, so she doesn't know that you two are fighting.
Correct. It's very much like they don't. It's like, they're both very respectful of this lady. They're just like, you wait till she leaves, and then they fight, and then they hear her come back in. They stop fighting. You know but you end up having to fight this guy a little bit, and then shit just takes a left turn. Nate,
yeah, like other Yakuza guys show up. You know.
I was gonna say, y'all talk. I have to pee really bad, so y'all talk about this, and I'll be right back.
Yeah. So at that point, like 6 Yakuza dudes bust down the door, and they're like, "We're here from Makimoto," and they're going after the girl and not the guy, much to your surprise. So
yeah, because it turns out that Makoto Makimura is the blind girl. The target that you have is the blind girl.
Yeah, you were under the impression it was the big dude. It wasn't. So you fought this dude and beat him up for no reason. And as these Yakuza are trying to get the girl out, they shoot him. Like, they shoot him twice.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, like, it's a whole thing, you know. And so you basically have to, like, escape with Makoto because shit's hit the fan. You know, Majima doesn't know what's up or down or anything like that, but he's just like, no, I'm not gonna let these assholes just kill this woman. You know, like, if nothing else, it's my job. Yeah, you know, like,
it's my hit. I have to be the one that does this hit, if anything. So like, he ends up fighting these Yakuza guys and gets them down the stair, gets the girl down the stairs with him, and then you go into this stealth, almost like a stealth scene where you're trying to get back to somewhere you can find that's safe to just get away from the Yakuza with the girl. So you're like hiding by pedestrians while the Yakuza run by you. Otherwise, it instigates a fight where she can take damage, and if she dies, you lose the game, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's kind of like the first stealth scene you get in the game, and I was like, oh no, not one of these.
It was like one of those lead quests where you're like, you have to like guide them along. Yeah. That's always like but it wasn't
that bad. No.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
I felt like it was really forgiving too. Like, cause like if you got spotted by the Yakuza, but you were by a pedestrian, you could hit the button and it would still let you hide, and you didn't have to engage in the battle. So I thought it was pretty decent.
It wasn't.
Yeah, at the end, you finally get to this like alley where you're finally safe and away from all the Yakuza, and she just like falls to the ground and like starts grabbing your leg. It's like, is everything okay? What happened to Lee-san? Because Lee apparently is the guy that was the massage therapist or chiropractor, and he's like, he's fine. You'll be meeting him very soon. And then the chapter ends with him just unsheathing the blade, and then the chapter ends.
Yeah, and then we cut back to Kiryu for 2 chapters.
Yeah, so you're just like, what happened here? It's like a huge cliffhanger that like drove me bananas. And I was like, after that, I was like, I kind of want to get back to the Majima chapters now.
The moment that reveal happens, where it's like the one you're looking for is the girl, not the guy. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. What does a blind girl have to do with any of this? And that's the big question that I still have, even because I just now got back to Majima, and where I'm at. But in my mind, I don't know if this is how it happened, but in my mind, when he pulled that dagger, you could see her reflection in it. Like, I don't know if that was actually the thing, but in my brain, that's how I remember that scene. And it's just like, that was such a powerful, all of a sudden, just cut, gone. I messaged Nate. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? He's like, chapter 4, I know.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good chapter ends. Like 6 is another one that immediately jumps out to me that I'm not going to say another word about other than chapter 6 is amazing chapter end. But yeah, other than that, so that's where we are in the story so far, the story up through chapter 4. I was wondering if you guys had any last thoughts about things that happened to you while you were playing through the game. One thing that really killed me was at the end of one of the things, I think it was, I got this as a request for a reward for one of the side quests. I think particularly the one where I helped the Kamurochi Silvers do their interview. So I got 2 out of 3 right on that, I think. And it gave me an item called the Charismatic Autobiography. So this item, it is great stats on it. Like, if you equip it, it raises your defense, your weapon defense, and all this stuff by like 3 on each item category. But it also says, if you equip this item, people are going to see it and want it and try to take it from you. You're like, okay, well, I can handle a few extra fights. And so I didn't think of anything about it. I think I might have saved and quit after I equipped it. Next day I get back on the game and I'm like getting into all these fights, but they are so hard now. Like things that I was not like having any trouble with. I was starting to like take half damage in a battle against 3 like just random jobbers.
Delinquents.
Yeah, delinquents. Yeah. And so I was like, what is going on? So I was like, what is happening? So I Googled Yakuza 0 difficulty spike, and somebody had mentioned this exact thing happened to them where they equipped this item, and then everything got balls to the walls hard on them, and the second they unequipped it, things went back to normal. So I unequipped it. I was like, oh, thank God. I thought I was not going to have fun with this game anymore.
Yo, you know that cat that trying to cross the bridge in his like varsity jacket, and the moment he tries to cross it, he gets his ass beat. That's you right now.
That quest is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I love that. That was funny as hell.
Just take off the jumper. I don't want to.
I love this jacket. So did y'all have any moments like that when you were playing the game that just kind of stick out to you? It was like, oh man, that's good.
I really, I started running into, I don't remember how I got it. I don't remember if it was one of the items I got when I realized that I had a ton of the challenge point things built up and I could go spend that at the shrine. You know, so now I have an item that dings anytime I'm near one of those phone
cards,
have that too. Which is real nice.
Yes.
But also, like I said, I don't know if I got it from that or if I got it from a quest or whatever. But I have this item that makes people started appearing like these guys in golden suits.
Yeah.
Oh, the Novo Riche. Yeah.
And dude, they give me like 500,000 yen if I beat them.
It's one dude that shows up. He's super easy to kill, and he has a ton of money. Very nice.
Yeah. Those guys are awesome.
I need to
like I said, I don't remember if that was a CP
It was a CP thing.
Yeah, that's the completion points.
Okay. And I've heard, I don't think I have it yet, but I've heard that Majima gets one. I won't say what it does, but apparently it makes running around really annoying. Every step you take goes ching, 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 ching. And apparently that just gets grating after a while.
I can imagine.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
But I'm not quite. Yeah. But I was trying to think of just like random things that I stumbled upon that like really like jumped out to me. Honestly, as dumb as it is, I've been really just happy with any time I go into the UFO catcher things and they have new stuff in there. I'm just like,
yeah, you can go to the clerk and be like, "Hey, can you reset the UFO catcher?" And he'll change out the prizes. You know,
I had a point in my life where I would do every claw machine I saw in real life, and I got pretty damn decent at claw machines for a while. Like I miss those. I miss claw machines. I don't ever see them anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, they have them at. They have those UFO machines at Round One arcades. You know, where it's like, it's a thing where it's not about picking something up, it's about like pushing something off of a thing, you know, and every time I'm just an absolute sucker about it, where I'm just like, nah, I can totally do it. And it's just like, nah, you can't. I mean, you can, but it's going to take a lot more effort than it should, you know, just.
Well, you boys want to jump into some fan questions?
Yeah, let's hop into the mailbag corner.
Yeah, let's go.
Sounds good.
I'm trying to bring this back. This is something that me and Ryan used to do, where we would I would post about the game on Facebook and stuff, and people would give me questions or comments, concerns about whatever we were talking about or gaming in general. And I was like, well, we haven't done that in a while. Discord's been popping, so I'll make a channel in there. So we got some questions. One we already covered from Adam earlier with the mini games, and then here's one from Jeremy. if you joined the real life Yakuza, what would your role be? Who would like to go first?
Yeah, I think that's a kind of a difficult one because in my mind, I have myself built up as like, I'm a big dude. I'm kind of tough and not scared of shit. But I know if I was in the Yakuza, I'd be a huge pussy. Like, let's be honest, guys. Like, these guys have guns. These guys have knives. Like, I'm not standing up to these guys in a fight. Let's be 100% legitimate. So, like, I'd probably have to take, like, on maybe, like, personal security detail for somebody higher up or something like that. Because I don't think that I could do a whole lot of just, like, the everyday grunt roughing people up all the time. But maybe if I'm just in charge of taking care of one guy, I can handle that.
I like that though. Jimbo Nato. That's awesome.
Yeah, like my thinking was that I would just be like a numbers guy, you know, like a guy that, you know, runs the books for, you know, like some bookie operation or, you know, like a pachinko parlor or something like that, where I'm just like, yeah, like I'm involved in shady dealings, but I'm not like the violence guy, because even though I'm a big dude, I am just not built for combat, you know.
Unfortunately, that was pretty close to my own answer. I'm like, I'm kind of the IT guy.
Guess what? We're a bunch of nerds. Of course, that's going to be our answers.
Yeah.
I fix the computer.
Did the Yakuza need a podcast?
I think that like no, but seriously, I think I could do the accounting, finance, the crooked finance, being the guy that makes sure the books line up and making sure that if someone's books don't line up, that guy's going to get it
from somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, not for me. I'm not gonna go. You know what, man? I could beat you in a sword fight. I know foil fencing. Let's go. Oh shit, foil fencing is not actually all that scary. It turns out. Whoops.
So, I would be known as Kage no Yore. Okay, the ghost of shadows. I would want to deal with anything seedy that's behind the scenes. Anything, drugs, sex, violence, any of that, sure, I'm in. I don't necessarily want to kill people. And if I can get to a situation where I'm going to keep all of my digits, that'd be nice. Because I do like to play guitar. But
you can play guitar without your right pinky finger. You'll be okay.
Yeah, they take your right pinky first. You're good.
Okay. Well, then, yeah, okay. I'll be all right for a while. I need these fingers at least for Travis picking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you were doing there.
Yeah, man, I would want to do, like, you know, somebody needs a couple kilos of heroin, set that up for them.
You are from Florida, so this all makes sense.
Somebody needs some titties to suck on, I can set it up for them. Somebody needs a wiener to suck on, I can set it up for them.
Man, there was a serious de-escalation from heroin to titties.
I don't know, man. Like, heroin's pretty major, but, you know, titties are pretty major.
Do you want 5 pounds of drugs? Do you like a tit?
I'll take the tit, thank you. They bring you a bird.
Yes.
But yeah, man, I would want to be in the seedy aspect of it, but like not the violence. Again, like I did enough of my fighting in my youth to know that like my hand is not going to survive many more punches. You know, so I
like the idea that you're like the grease that makes the greasy shit greasier. Like, that is way nastier and sleazier of an answer than I expected from any of this.
Plus, I just like Kage no Yore. That sounds cool. The ghost of shadows. So the next question that we had up was from Kana, and is, what theme would our bodysuit tattoo be? Because, you know, the Yakuza always have that.
I saw this earlier and I thought a lot about it, and I think that I would go with so you remember in the 90s those like streetwear Looney Tunes shirts? I think I'd go with something like that.
Oh no.
Just a full back piece of like Tasmanian Devil with a backwards hat.
It's like you just got like a fucking Bugs Bunny with a cigar counting money.
I've seen memes going around of like when Kiryu takes off his shirt, like they've photoshopped his back piece to be like the like SpongeBob in like the pimp coat and everything.
Please post some of those to the Discord because that sounds hilarious.
I can only think of that one, but I'm sure people have done other ones of that because that's a pretty easy template for a joke, you know. But oh man.
So my pick is at first I thought it was going to be like a big back piece of like an Oni or whatever, but I thought about it more and Nate said something that cracked me up so hard that I had to change my vibes. So what I want is that like classic like print of like a samurai with a Tengu mask, that big ass nose, and he just looks so fucking pissed. The big nose that like comes out and then points up. Like that is the shit I want.
I was looking into this too, so I was thinking about tattoos of one. First I was like, the obvious answer for me would be get a giant turtle tattooed onto me. But when you think about it, a turtle is very similar to a kappa, and I don't really want the associations of a kappa going on my body. So we're not going kappa or turtle here. So I had to think long and hard about this, so I ended up going with a foo dog tattoo for a couple of reasons. In the Japanese, it kind of has had me to protective, strong, courageous, good luck, and heroism. But also, Dresden Files kicks ass, and he has a foo dog in that book. So I would like to go with the foo dog.
Quick side.
Nice. Way to make that one symbolically meaningful.
Quick side.
That's awesome.
Dude, I downloaded a file, we'll call it, of Dresden Files audiobooks. Dude, they're way fucking more than I thought.
Yeah, there's a lot of those books, dude.
There's a lot of fucking
Yeah,
books.
there's like 15 right now? Or is it 16?
I'm behind one. I think Skin Game was the last one I read, Paul, so...
Yeah, there's two after Skin Game. There's Peace Talks and Battleground. Technically, it's one book that got split into two.
I might have read Peace Talks. I'll have to remember.
But who's buying, right?
Peace Talks, but who's buying?
The tattoos. So I was like thinking of Japanese mythological creatures that would look really cool, right? And I came across one called Yamada no Orochi, which is an 8-headed dragon. And I thought about, getting the base of it and stuff at the bottom of your back and having the 8 heads kind of go out, have one go down the back of your arm, one come down the front of your arm on both sides. You know what I mean? That's 4. Then you have 4 other heads. You could have them wrap around your torso and maybe like breathing fire and stuff like that. Would be a cool way to go about it. And it's got 8 heads, 8 tails, and red eyes with moss trees on its back.
Yo, check out this idea though. What if you had that, but like you started off with just the one head, and every time you did something that was dope as fuck, you would get another head tattoo.
Well, then he ended up with so many fucking heads.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna go with like, and then somebody cuts you across it, and you get 2 more tattooed on you like a Hydra. But yeah, I just thought it was cool because this dragon apparently was so big that it occupied 8 valleys and peaks.
Nice.
So that's fucking cool. So I just figured like it'd be like the 8-headed dragon. If you see that in the shadows, hey, that guy can get me heroin or titties.
the 2 main food groups.
And the other question we have, I'm going to sum up with one answer. Jeff asked, can you explain to me why they would make a Diablo mobile game? And my answer to you is one thing and one thing only, and that is money. Capitalism.
Money.
I believe, gentlemen, that about wraps it up. I go through some house cleaning, but first and foremost, please, before I forget to ask this, Paul, plug your stuff, my good sir.
Well, I plugged it up at the top, so I'll just take a minute to plug a friend of mine's stuff. I got my buddy Rick. He is a writer. He wrote a fantasy novel called Fate's Pawn. I'll say it correctly. It's pretty fun. You can find it on Amazon. It's pretty cheap on there if you get it on your Kindle. Support a guy doing cool stuff. I stream. I haven't been doing it much lately because I'm going to be moving soon, so I'm getting my house packed up. But I will be coming back with that within a month or so. So yeah, you can find me on there, Wavercross Comics on Twitch.
True that, man. True that. All right. Well, then I'll roll into. Unless, please help me. Am I forgetting anything, Nate?
I think you're good, brother.
No, okay, cool. I'm not used to having to scroll down to find my stuff. Okay, there it is. So, if you would please leave us a review on iTunes or Spotify or whatever you listen to your podcast, we would greatly appreciate that. If you give us a 5-star review, you rock, and that'll help us in the algorithms that I can't even fathom or begin to know how they fucking work, but we do appreciate any and all reviews that we get. I believe we're sitting at 9 on iTunes. Let's get that to 10. Let's get just one more. Let's get that to 10. Nice even round number. It'll make my OCD feel better. Let's get it to 10, please, and thank you. So if you want to come join our Discord, it's bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters. Come in, hang out, vote on the fan-voted game, which I believe right now American Truck Simulator is winning, but Shadow of Mordor is trailing pretty close behind. So if some new people wanted to come join the Discord and make the shift happen, that's up to you guys. If you would like to join our Patreon, which we would much appreciate, www. I didn't even have to do that part. Patreon.com/The Steam Machine Podcast. $1 a month will get you all the episodes early. And anytime I do bonus episodes like music episodes, or when I get around, if you want to hear me talk about the saucy game Galgun, it's $1 a month. And if you want to donate $10 or more a month, you can get a shout out at the end of each and every episode, like these awesome people: Nate Sir Cogsworth, the 7th of Juniper, Jeff, the original expendable, Mr. Syllables himself, old Jeffy Lube, and Eraser Adam. Shout out to his podcast, Revival and Extinction. Appreciate you guys very, very much. Quick shout out to YABSPOD, yet another bullshit podcast. This is a podcast that I do with my buddy Jeremy each week. And also shout out to the JRPG Report, which is a weekly JRPG news show that I took over from my buddy James. You can check me out there as well. You want a shirt? tsmpproductions.threadless.com. You can get you a Steam Machine Podcast shirt and look spiffy, and tell your friends about us. You like our music? It's Nile the Nightmare. That's me. Bandcamp, nilenightmare.bandcamp.com. You can buy my music there. And if you want buttons to all of this shit, plus the shit that Nate will probably just about tell you about, unless he doesn't want to plug anything because he hasn't been streaming lately, you can go to bit.ly/the Steam Machine Podcast, capitalized phonetically, and there are links to all the bullshit there, plus our episodes. Nate, please take over.
Yeah, so like Dalton said, I've been taking a break from streaming. I'll probably get back into it soon, so I'll go ahead and plug it again. But you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok, even though I haven't made a TikTok in months, at Turtle Bear Man on all of those platforms. So come chill, yo.
And Nate was kind enough and rad enough to make us a Steam Machine Discord, a Steam Machine TikTok. So, and that's just the Steam Machine Podcast, right? On TikTok. Come find us. The algorithm's so weird for TikTok. I think we've had this conversation before that like some of them are like, wow, that did really well. And then others are like, what happened? What happened? But it's great. I love.
Yeah. I was wondering about that too, because like the Half-Life one in particular that we posted is done terribly, and I'm wondering if that's because the video is of us shooting people in the head.
That's possible.
Yeah, that might
we always do that.
Even though it's like clearly a video game, like 90s, or early 2000s, but yeah, it's down on there. It's weird. But the Amnesia one did like really, really well. Which also, Amnesia is one of those games that people seek out to hear people get scared by it. So, yeah, man. Willie, you got anything you'd like to plug this week? Okay.
No.
Well, then, in 2 weeks, we'll be back with part 2, wrapping up Yakuza 0. Paul, you're more than welcome to join us. If you're busy, of course, then by all means, you don't have to. But the offer is there. And, yeah, so 2 weeks, we'll be back here to wrap up Yakuza 0 and then dive into whatever Willie decides to choose. So listen to the next episode to find out.
Yes.
So for this week, they are the Brothers of Destruction. Thank you for joining us, one Paul Korn, Wayward Cross Comics. And as always, guys, I'm Dalton. Take it easy.
「だけど簡単には」 ちも愛さえも知らない不良品の野良犬さだけど血や金じゃ餌付けはできないぜ傷ついて全て失っちまっても染まっちゃならねえそれこそが Justice for breaking the law breaking the world 壊せbreaking the rule 俺ら遺産や懐かない波乱分子さ振り上げろ握り拳を俺たちはそうさ俺たちがジャッジメント